So, well, friends, good afternoon. I hope everybody settled down in their workplaces and we are good to go.
Yes, Prabhat,
Okay.
thanks.
So, yes, Prabhat. Yeah, thank you so much. So, I have shared some files over email today. This is the files we are going to look into in this today's program, day 3, especially for the consolidation of multiple Excel files and Excel sheets. So I request you, please download the same and save it in the same folder, naming called sample case studies, what we have already shared, so that when the moment comes, I will take you through that, how to deal with the same. All right. So before proceeding further, is there any doubt or queries for the day 1 or day 2 you want to clean up something over there, or you want to refresh something? Hope you have practiced the same. That is the most essential thing. Yes, Prabhat. Okay, great. Fine then. So let me first share my screen and okay. All right. So today we are going to start with our sample case studies folder. The file name is called data analysis. Well, great, Param. Thank you so much. You have made it. So I was a bit worried. No problem. That's fine. We are in time, so we can go for it. All right. So go to our sample case studies folder, people. The file name is called data analysis. Kindly open that. So when you open the file, you'll be finding a huge data over here in this file, particularly, especially it is over here. So kindly confirm you got the same data opened on your respective screens. All right. So now let me first give you a background story of this data, what we have with us, what we need to do on this, and then we'll start working together. Well, suppose I take a situation now. My boss asked me, Pravas, get me last 3 years revenue report. What did it say? Get me last 3 years revenue report. So what I did, I just gave the respective T codes in the SAP system and I generated a report. And there are around 5,000 records or 5,000 line items of data I received over here in this format. Like name of the customer, we do have over here. Then we have got product type. These are the products we are selling to our different types of products we are selling to our customers. And these are the exact product names we have, which we manufacture and we sell it to our customers. And the salesperson names are there whom we have engaged to generate the revenue on behalf of the organization. Then these are the different regions we export our products. That name is there. Order date is nothing but the billing date. You can make it. And sales in terms of US dollar, we are making the billing. Year of incurrence of sale, month, quarter, and intermediary channel partner. So it's a comprehensive data. It's a huge data. When I download, I got the information over here. So basically, I'll give a background story of this data. This data is belong to the industry called Tata Motors. Suppose, say, take an example. We are the part of Tata Motors organization. And now this is the data we have with us. Now looking at the data in this format, when I presented my data to my boss is not quite happy. And what he's saying, Prabhas, this is very comprehensive data. You keep it with you. I don't need this. What I want is from this data is, I just want a simple summary out of this. What kind of summary? Like what are the products we have sold to our customers? Based on the products, I just want to see last 3 years revenue data. So in one line, if I want to say the requirement or the ask is nothing but the huge data is there. We need to present our data in a summarized format, tabular format, or crispy presentations. We have to make it. And product wise, last 3 years revenue data, we have to express. So we know one thing, whenever there is a need to summarize a huge volume of data, we have a tool called pivot table or pivot table. Anything you can call it's okay. Now the question is whether my data is ready for pivot table. That is what we need to first discuss. So here, most of the time, people do not emphasize on those points and later they struggle, but we are not going to commit that mistake. So first of all, whenever you want to prepare a pivot table, you must satisfy three validation rules. And what are those rules? Rule number one is whenever you have the data, it must contain a field header. Without field header, pivot is not possible. If you do not have the field headers, you need to define the same column 1, column 2, and so on. Now, no column header name should be duplicate. It should have a unique column name. If you want to retain customer name two times, no problem. You can retain the customer in two different columns, but you should name it as customer 1, customer name 2, like that. There should be a unique name or unique column header name should be there. Now, rule number 2, the amount of data, whatever we have received, we have captured, we have downloaded, no single cell should contain a blank cell over here. So there should not be any blank cell over there in the range. But how to confirm? If you remember in our day 2, we have discussed about a data clean once exercise. So there, how did you check the blanks? Selecting the data, going for F5 or Control G, special, and then blanks. And when I go and click OK, I'm getting a message, no cells were found. So it's a pretty simple message for me. There is no blank cells in the range. And if there were some blank cells, then definitely it would have been selected. And we would have got the operations like typing NA, nil, control, enter. We could have completed the exercise. So that we know in our day 2 itself, we are aware of that. So rule number 2, there should not be any blank cells. Rule number 3, ensure that in any column there is no merge data. So no column should have the merge data, because most of the time what is the practice we have, we select some multiple cells, we merge them, we define a header. That meant for display, not for the calculations, because most of our Excel functionalities doesn't read our merge data. So it is always better make a thumb rule that avoid using the merge data if you want to go for any kind of calculations in Excel. Now, having said these three rules, we are ready with our data, no problem. But as I told you in day 2, whenever you download the data from SAP or ERP system, there were two areas all the time you should struggle with, and the data will not be in a cleaned fashion and data will not be in proper format, and we need to again go and confirm the same. So what are those two columns? One, number will not be in number format. Date will not be in date format. So data clean 2 exercise, we discussed the fixed asset register, right? So now let us go and check it out. We have got order date. You can see we have got order date. So keep your cursor in the first date of our order date column, select the rest, Control Shift down arrow key. And how to check whether this column is containing the data in proper date format or not. What is the best way to check? Anybody? We have done all these things already. I told you the other day to convert any format to date format. What was the shortcut? To convert any format to date format.
Control 3.
Yes, control.
3.
No, Control Shift and 3.
Control Shift 3.
Yeah. So this shows lack of practice for sure. That's what I was a bit afraid of, and the same thing happened. Please do not that the mistake today. Once you complete the training again, please go for day 1, day 2, day 3, everything. Please practice, else you'll forget people. Just mark my words, take it seriously. Else there's no point of attending the training and investing money and time also. So please do that. All now going for our data over here, we'll check Control Shift 3. Is it converting the data into a readable format? Yes. So it's a pretty simple message, a confirmation, one line of confirmation for us that our date is in proper date format, the best way to check. Similarly, going for our sales USD number column. So we need to ensure these numbers are there in proper number format. So kindly keep your cursor in the first value of our sales USD column, select the rest, Shift Control down arrow key. And again, let's recall how to convert any format to number format? I told you the other day.
Control Shift 1.
Very good. Control Shift 1. So when I go and do the Control Shift 1 operation, is it applying a dollar symbol? Sorry, is it applying a decimal symbol and post decimal 2 characters and before decimal comma separator is applying?
Yes.
So we are now in a confirmation that our numbers are in proper number format. Now, if you do not want the post decimal 2 zeros or 2 characters, you can remove the same. You can go to Home tab the way you do decrease decimals. We can go for 2 times and this will be removing it. So we have understood that how to check our data, whether the data is compliant with the right format or not, and what are the other 3 rules for our pivot to check or ensure, that also we have understood. Now in this piece of data there is some problem, so I'll take you through those problems. Please look at my screen. In this data set, if you look at order date and month, what's the problem you identify?
The months are not correct.
Absolutely. So date is of Jan, month is showing December. Technically, this is not possible. So this is the place where it has gone wrong. So how to rectify this? How to extract a month from a date? I told you in day one. What's the formula? Anybody? To extract a month from a date. Formula name is text. Do you remember the e-date formula? Electronic date, the date of AMC we were calculating, date of expiry we were calculating, same thing. So equal to text, open the bracket, value. Value is nothing but my order date. Okay. Now, comma, what is the next thing it is asking? Format text. So format, what we want, the month. So within 2 double inverted quotes, M 4 times, the moment you go and express it, this is going to give me the complete string of the month. So this is what the formula we need to apply and get our data rectified. So please do that and confirm your data is ready for next level. Any difficulties in understanding, please feel free to ask. Satish, data analysis. The file name is data analysis. In our sample case studies folder, we have. And today also I have mailed something. So you can download the same and store it in the same folder. You will be getting the files like multi-file analysis, multi-sheet analysis. These 2 files you'll be getting from the mail. Yeah. All right, people. So please confirm in the chat box why for yes if you are clear up to this. All right, so Amit has confirmed. How about the others? Could you please help me out quickly? Yeah, Param also confirmed. Very good. Shirisha, Pallavi, Mumtaz, Satish.
Yes, Prabhas.
Okay, great. Fine then. So now our data is ready for the next level. Let's do one thing. Keeping the cursor anywhere in the data, go to insert. The very first options from the left is pivot table you will be finding. I'm highlighting on my screen also, you can check. Insert pivot table, the first option from the left. And if you go and check that, you click that, then immediately it will take you to a dialog box where you will be finding a range is taken completely over here. We have not selected the range. It is automatically taking that. So this is the beauty of pivot table. Whenever you keep your cursor inside the data set, the entire data set is forming part of our pivot table range. Now this is asking the next thing, choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. By default, it's new, let it be. It is always better to go and create a new presentation. And once you go and click OK, with immediate effect, you will be finding a blank sheet is generated. And towards your left, you will be finding a box kind of stops over here. This is the area where the pivot table is going to get designed. And you can also notice that there is a name also available for a pivot table. So what is the message? Whenever you create a pivot table, each and every pivot table, they have a unique name. All right. Now towards your right side, you will be finding over there a box in my screen that which contains the all field list, all the field headers, whatever we had in our summary table data sheet. This is called field list box. Okay, and towards your right side you can see small boxes kind of structures are there, like field, columns, rows, column, and values. These are called field area. So we have only one job now. We need to take the right fields and populate, drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. So these are the only action we need to do. But before proceeding further and doing the drag and drop operation, let us go and discuss one thing over here. One major problem is our layout is not matching. Whatever the layout I have, you do not have the same layout. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the place where first we have to bring the equal page. So now if you see my layout, what is the reason I have taken this layout? To have more space to work with. So I could see many more space. I can still accommodate many more 20 columns over here. I can see all the columns listed over here. So how to get this kind of layout here? There is a settings button or gear button we do have in this pivot table fields box. If you go for it and navigate, there is an option called field section and area section side by side. Please go for this and you'll be having the similar layout like me.
Yes.
And once you do this, now, as I told you, we have got only drag and drop kind of job. So, well, I can go and drag a field, but where to drop? I have got four different options. I have got four different choices. Then for that too, we do have a rule need to follow. What is that? You can notice there is a value area over here. Can you see value area? So it's a simple message that whichever the field you take it from the field list box, if it is containing the numbers or numerical value, you must populate in the value field area. So take an example of our report. The boss, whatever the report he has asked, he asked, Prabhas, I want product-wise last 3 years revenue data. So revenue data, nothing but the billing column. Billing column is nothing but my sales USD. Is it containing numbers? Sales USD, the billing column, is it having the numbers in place?
Yes.
So we should bring it over here in our value area. Why? Is it mandatory? Yes, because if you bring the numbers in the value area, you can play around with your functions of formula like sum, count, average, product, minimum, maximum, all these things you can manipulate only in this area. So please let's go and bring it sales USD to the value field area. Whatever happens in the sheet, don't bother about it. Follow the instructions only, please. So here, once we made it, then what's the next requirement? Last 3 years revenue. So 3 years, we have got a column called year, and the same, we can take it either row or columns. There is no hard and fast rule. So let me take it to the columns. Now, when you take it to the columns, you can see in the report, 3 different years, 3 different columns will generate. Now, if you do not like in the year, in the columns, you want to bring it to the rows, you can simply take this to the rows. You'll be getting 3 different rows, the year items. So it is up to you. There is no hard and fast rule. But in this case, I would suggest go year to the columns. The reason, we have got something else to define also, like product description. So product description, you bring it to the rows. So what we did, sales USD in the values, product description in the rows, year in the columns. So you'll be getting a beautiful structure of your pivot table and having a total of 3199253. Confirm please. Did you receive the same? No. Once we have done with this, our pivot is ready, but this is not ready for dispatch because the moment you have the pivot table, first of all, you need to care for the look and feel of our pivot table. So in terms of presentation part, so a little bit of formattings we need to do. So what kind of formattings we should go for? Keeping your cursor in pivot, if you go and see on your ribbon tab, there is a design button is activated in the top, design. And if you go to this design option, you'll be getting many more styles over there. And if you go for the more style, it opens up with three broad categories, like in our day one and day two. Also, we have dealt something on bit on this. And I told you, always take light and medium, do not take the dark colors. In the format as table case, did you remember?
Yes.
Right. And why I told you not to take the dark colors? What is the reason behind that?
Space.
Very good. Very good. The file size will be heavy. The more the dark colors, the file size will be more. So let us go and take a medium color out of this. When you take a medium option with immediate effect, you can see a beautiful formatting will be applied to my pivot table. Now it is somewhat the look and feel is better. Now, this is the first thing we should do. Now, what is the next problem in our data? I'll tell you. So kindly stay focused. If you look at our pivot table, this bold, GenX Nano, Jest, and all those things, what are they? These are our products, right? And we do have a name for that field called product description. Whereas the same name is not appearing in our pivot table column headers. Similarly, 2014, 15, 16 is my years, whereas it is not showing the header as years. So this is the trouble. And this is what the default format of pivot table. So unless and until we bring the same field name over there in the pivot, people cannot make out, people cannot read, people cannot understand what I'm trying to express. And how to bring the same? So here our experts, they will tell you go and edit it manually. Do not edit any field manually in pivot table. So how to bring that? The best option, go to the same design mode, keeping the cursor in pivot, go to the same designing mode. From the left, third option, report layout. From the left, third option, report layout. And there is an option called show in tabular form. Show in tabular form. And when you go and click it with immediate effect, same field name is going to appear on our pivot table, like product description and year. So I believe everybody is able to get that. Now, once we have done with this, next, what you need to do, as I told you in day one and day two as well, nowadays the audience is having a different level of expectation. So there is no meaning if you send your data as it is. And what people are expecting, you should present your data in such a way it should tell the story to the people. So in our grand total column in the pivot table, keep your cursor in any of the value of the grand total and go for right click on the same. And when you go for right click on the same, there is an option called sort. And when you go for sort, there's an option called largest to smallest. And when you go for and operate with this, you can see with immediate effect, it will show the story. What is that? From the entire products, from Indica, we are getting the maximum revenue. And from Jest, we have got the least revenue. So any layman also sitting in the audience side, he can make out what I'm trying to express. So this is what our first pivot table we have created over here, satisfying all the validation rules, bringing all your necessary data compliance over here, bringing the pivot table and plotted over there, doing the necessary data formattings, finally bringing the exact field name and presenting the data in a story format. So if you have any queries, please let me know. Hope everybody is clear.
Prabhas,
Yeah.
sometimes when I tried to sort the data, not in this data, in my data, it gave the alert that the data cannot be sorted.
Data cannot
Why
be
it might be happening?
if that is the case, then you have to show me some sample data where it is happening. Then looking at the data, then only I can tell you, because
Huh.
technically this is not supposed to happen. And I told you, you should keep your cursor in the numbers, not the grand total, neither the header.
Okay.
You should keep the
Yeah,
cursor
yeah.
inside the data. Then you go for right click, sort, and definitely this is going to
Okay.
happen. So here, if I go for right click, sort, I'm always getting these options. Don't worry. So if
Okay.
it is not happening still, then you please take a screenshot or you can share the file over email. Let me have a look on that.
Okay. And you will be telling the grouping also in the pivot
Yeah,
table.
yeah, yeah. Everything we are going to
Okay.
discuss. Don't worry. All right. So, Prince, I believe everybody is clear up to this extent, whatever things we have discussed. Okay. So we are good to go with our first pivot table. Now, let's do one thing. Keep your mouse pointer on our sheet tab, naming pivot 1. Right click on the same. We have an option called move or copy. So when you go for move or copy, if you click that, this is going to take you through a dialog box where there is an option called create a copy. Checkbox is not activated. So kindly activate the checkbox and click OK. So with immediate effect, you are going to get another pivot table. Please rename the same as pivot table number 2. All right. Now, let us discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Okay. Now let me take the data in a bit of story format. So I'm going to take two names again from our group. One is, say, our friend Amit, and second one is Satish. So is there any objection, guys, if I take your name for the story, Amit and Satish? Okay. Thank you so much, Amit. Satish, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here, take an example. Our friend Satish has created all these things and he is presenting the same report to Mr. Amit. Now, Amit is watching the data and he is telling, Satish, the pattern is really good. I liked it. Taking all these 3 years data in three different columns and taking all the products in rows, I am good to go with that. And I like this pattern very much because I'm able to analyze the data with more convenient fashion. Well, so when Amit is satisfied with the report, giving a compliment to the work, and we know one thing, when boss is happy, what happens, Satish? More work, expectation level goes high, workload increases, isn't it? The same thing happened also. So what happened now? Amit is asking to Satish that you have given me only last 3 years data. That's fine. But I want to analyze the data going in depth. I want to do more in-depth analysis, or I want to go for deep dive analysis on this data. So what is the meaning by deep dive analysis, macro level of analysis, in-depth analysis? So along with the year, what is the maximum you can do? You can do month-wise analysis. If you go more in-depth, you can do month-wise analysis, right? The same thing what Amit is also expressing to Mr. Satish. Now, what Satish has to do first of all, he has to check, is there any column naming called month? Yes, we do have. Now, when I am going to take this month, where I have to place it? Taking the same, go to the rows. So when you take this month to the rows with immediate effect, you can see your pivot structure gets changed. All right. So please bring that, people, everybody. Bring your month to the row area. Now, once we got this, you can notice we got our month ready. So remember one thing, friends, people, over here, that each and every pivot table, they have their own unique story. So now, being a user, first of all, we need to understand the pivot table, what we have created, what kind of story it is going to give it to the people. So this data, what kind of story it expressed, let me take you through. See, 3 years data, it was required for Mr. Amit, that is done. Again, what happens? He was looking for month-wise data. Month-wise data is also expressed, but technically, this pivot table is still giving the more emphasis on the product description because product description is the first column. So what is the story it is giving? Last 3 years revenue data with regard to multiple products, with regard to multiple months. So product becomes primary, month becomes secondary. Whereas Amit has asked to give more emphasis on the month column, not with the product column. So in this case, the data, whatever we express, this is not up to the mark. So what we need to do, simple, we can change the priority. So let us go to our row area, bring product description below to the month, drag and drop. Going to the row area, you can bring it below to the month product description and see the change, whatever it happened in our pivot table. Exactly, is it matching with the requirement? So month becomes primary, product becomes secondary. Right, people? Everybody is getting the same. Any doubt, any queries you have, you can ask me. No problem. Okay. So now, once you have made it, now let's do one thing. Let us analyze this report. Okay. Uh, yeah. So this you can keep your mic on mute. When you have any queries, you can ask me. No problem. Yeah. Thank you so much. So here, the moment, suppose say this is the data I have presented to my boss. Okay. And my boss is looking at the data. His focus has gone to the data area. And he's watching the data and he's telling Prabhas, why there are so many blank cells are there? He's asking like this. Of course, anybody will be asking. So if you remember, I told you the moment we started our data analysis file discussion, I told you one of the rule of our pivot table purpose, the cells should not be blank in any of the cell, the data range, any of the cells should not be blank. So there should not be any blank cell in the range. And we have satisfied, we have confirmed there was no blank cells. But still, what happens? Some cases pivot is going to create such kind of blank cells. What is the reason? Reason is very simple. If you understand this, then 2014, in the month of January, with regard to that particular product, just we have not raised a single invoice. And when we have not raised an invoice, how we are going to make a billing? So this is the reason why this is coming up zero. This is what we know. But when we are presenting to the audience, they will not be knowing about all these things. So they will be asking question and we have to explain. And that movement is nothing but a duplication of work, which could have been avoided. So now the question demands how to stop people asking unwanted questions. So the objective is in pivot table, wherever the blanks are there, we need to replace with zero, hyphen, nil, not available, not applicable, anything like that. Then only people will not be asking further questions. But here we cannot do find and replace. And we are not supposed to do copy, paste special value, then find and replace. That is also ruled out. So having the data in pivot table, how to deal with such kind of blanks? Beautiful option we have. Let's go for it. Right click anywhere in the pivot table, you will be finding a dialog box appears where you have an option called pivot table options from the bottom second one, pivot table options. And when you go to this pivot table options, if you click, you will be finding over there a dialog box appears where for empty cells show, for empty cells show, we have a box and that box is not defined with any value. So please go and keep the cursor and define whatever you want as a replacement for those blanks, zero, hyphen, nil, not available, not applicable, slash, dash, anything. But I would suggest go for zero since we are dealing with numbers. And when you go for zero and click OK with immediate effect, you will be finding all these blank cells, whatever we had, it is replaced with zero. So this is the treatment for our blanks in pivot table. Hope this is working.
Prabhas, can you explain it a bit like again? I missed some part of it. Your
Yeah,
network.
right. You can, the requirement is wherever there was a zero in pivot table, we were supposed to replace the same, I mean, wherever there was a blank, we are supposed to replace with zero. If you do not do that, people will keep on asking, watching the blank cells. For that purpose, the treatment would be right click on the pivot table anywhere. From the bottom, second option, pivot table options. And when you go for this, it will be taken to a dialog box where for empty cells show, there is a box. And in this box, you have to go and type whatever you want. Zero, hyphen, nil, not available,
Okay.
anything. So better
All
to
right.
go for zero since we are dealing with numbers. And that's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. Now, once we have done with this over here, the next focus my boss has given to it the column called month. And what he's saying, please listen to that. He's saying, because this report is fine, but the thing is, when I go and check each and every product, and when I'm reaching to Indigo or Tiago, I am unable to make out this product is belong to which month. Again, I have to look back in the beginning or top, then only I realize this is the month about January. So this is what not giving a comfortable zone for my boss over here, or comfort zone for him, it is not giving. So what he's asking me, he's telling, why don't you do something in this, that each and every row item, wherever I'm looking at, the entire month details should be available. So though I am working with my 2014, 15, 16, or any of the product or any of the month, I could still have the information of the month. Well, so one line, if you want to say, he is expecting that month column, which is showing only the first row item as the month name. Instead of that, the entire column should be replicated with the month name. Well, if that is the case, if you remember, we have discussed in our day 2 a exercise called data fill. So if you have some blanks with regular intervals in the range, how to go and populate the data that we have discussed. But here, we don't need to go for such a lengthy exercise. In pivot, the information is more easy to get it. See how? Keeping the cursor anywhere in pivot. You can keeping the cursor anywhere in pivot. Go to design. And in this report layout, from the left third option, report layout, we have an option called repeat all item labels. Repeat all item labels. And when you go for repeat all item labels with immediate effect, can you notice your entire month column is ready with the month names? So this is what the beauty of our repeat all item labels. So we got our pivot table number 2 ready. So what we discussed, how to take more than one field and analyze our pivot data. If it is necessary, how to interchange the fields over there in a particular field area. If there is a requirement, how to deal with the blanks, replace the same with some predefined text. If there is a need, how to fill the entire column with repeat all item rows over here in the pivot table. Any doubt, any queries in pivot 2, people, anybody? All right. So now let us go for right click on pivot 2 sheet name. Move or copy. Create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 3. So once your pivot 3 is ready, let us discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. So our report is ready. Last 3 years revenue data over there in 3 columns, month-wise data in another column, and product descriptions there. So my boss is quite happy watching the same, and he just gave a good compliment to my data. And he's telling now, because this report pattern is really good, but I'm done with product. I am done with product description. So what I want is, my boss is saying to me, instead of product description, I want the customer data to be there so that we can analyze in this format. So pattern should be like 3 years data in 3 columns, month in 1 column, but instead of product description over there in the second column, there should be a customer name. Okay. So keeping the cursor in pivot, which is unwanted, that you need to deactivate. Like product description is unwanted. So from the checkbox, we can deactivate. What do we want? Customer. So bring customer to the row area. Bring customer to the row area. And the moment you bring it, can you see a beautiful pivot table turns up having the similar formatting, customer wise, last 3 years revenue data with regard to the multiple months, right? So our data is ready. Now let us go and read this data first. Let us go and understand this data. Now, what is our first customer? In our report, if you see, who is our first customer?
Alamid Automobiles.
Right? Is it the same for everyone? Alamid Automobiles, is it the same for everyone? All right, very good. Then we are in the equal page. So now, suppose say my boss is analyzing this data. No need to do anything, just look at my screen. Al Hamid Automobiles 2014 January month, business is nil. When you scroll down for the month of Feb, there is some business. When it goes to March, again no business, no sign at all. Then in the month of April, again no business. And in May, again no business. Like June also, like that, he wants to analyze the whole data for the particular customer, say Al Hamid Automobiles. He has to scroll down 12 times. Can you see that? Then only he will realize what is the status. Now, each and every customer purpose the data, if he wants to analyze for it, then 12 times going for scrolling options is really a tedious process and nobody is comfortable doing the same. So this is what my boss also told me, Prabhas, data is there, but it is not giving a comfort zone to work with. So why don't you do one thing? Why don't you just go for creating the data in such a way over here that all the customer details I could see at once. And in one page itself, I can have all the information. I no need to navigate much. I no need to go for scrolling a lot. So if that is the case, how to deal with the same? So what we can do in this case, people, go for your data. Okay. You can see row label month is there already. So from row label, take the month and put it across in the columns. So take month from the rows and put it across in the columns and see what happens. You can notice all the entire customer details at once, but the problem is how many columns you are landed up with. Just see. So if you look at your status bar on my screen also, you can find out there are near about 41 columns of data we do have. Now the first challenge, how to present this 41 columns of data in pivot. Okay, that is one. Now suppose say my boss has never seen this data. He asked me, Pravas, while coming back to me, please get me a printout. So without seeing the data, my boss asked me printout. Now how to take 41 columns of data as a printout? So this is the place where again we need to work. So this is not the right format of our data presentation. So what is the ideal way? Let me take you through. In our column B, you see in B4 cell, 2014 one cell already it is there, 2014. Now, don't click that 2014, that symbol, just right click on 2014 cell. There is an option over here, expand and collapse. Expand and collapse. And there is an option called collapse entire field. And when you go for collapse entire field, can you see the beauty? Entire 3 years data is going to create just in 3 columns and having a radio symbol button, kind of plus symbol button is created in each and every year. Okay. So these plus buttons are called technically radio buttons. And at any point of time, suppose my boss wants to see 2016 records, I need to click only with that plus symbol and my 2016 records will be expanded. So unwanted data I'm not showing to people, unwanted questions are not going to come, and what people are asking exactly, we are able to successfully present it. So this is how you have to do your presentation. And once your presentation is over, if you want to restore your data, again click on that plus symbol, the radio button, and your data will be restored. So this is what working with our expand and collapse button. Any doubt, any queries?
Prabhas,
Yeah.
you were able to see the number of columns as 41. In my Excel, it's not showing.
Okay, could you please share the screen?
No, like in your sheet, just please display your sheet. In your sheet also, right now it's not showing the number of columns.
Now it will
So
not be
what we
showing.
have to click that it starts displaying the. Acha. Okay, 1 minute. I'll try this.
Yeah.
No, it's not showing. What is that setting?
Settings means in the status bar, you have to go on right click and there is an options. These are the options you have to make it on. If you want to go for count, you want to go for sum, all these things to be
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Yeah. So in my case, if you see sum function is on, count function is on. So that's the reason why on the selection, all this information is available. If you want to see, this is showing also the average one, this is showing for me. So this can be customized depending upon your need. What are the information you want?
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Welcome. So now, friends, I believe pivot 3 is clear for everyone what we did.
Prabhas, the
Yeah.
expand button and collapse thing is not working for me.
It will work. Could you please help yourself with the screen?
Sure.
All right. So kindly keep your cursor in 2014. No, don't click that. Don't click that. Just keep the cursor. Yeah. Right click, expand and collapse entire field.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Welcome. So I'm taking the control back on the screen. Now, once we have done with this, let us go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Now, kindly go for pivot 3 sheet name, right click. There's an option move or copy, as we discussed already. And you'll be getting a dialog box where create a copy checkbox is not activated. Please activate. Now click OK. So you'll be getting one more pivot. You can rename the same as pivot table number 4. Now, once this is done over there, stay focused. There is a very important thing I'm going to take you through. Whatever we did, this kind of expand and collapse button uses is a simple pivot feature. Anybody can do that. So there is no extraordinary things we did so that people would be happy and giving compliment to our work. So now the question demands over here, how to make our presentation different from others. What else we can do in this pivot table so that people would be more happy and audience is going to be satisfied with the presentation and I can bring more uniqueness in my presentation area. So please stay focused for a minute. What I'm doing, please observe, and then you can do the same also. So there's nothing new I'm going to tell you. What we have learned, that only we are going to implement over here as a add-on. See the beauty. I will keep my cursor next to the grand total. I will go for a cell name called visual. Okay. And I'm going to give a feel as if this is the integral part of my pivot table, having the similar colors applications, nothing much. And then I will go for my first customer's last 3 years data. I will go and select. Okay. Then, if you remember in our day 2, when we go for our data visualization, we have discussed about some spark lines. Did you remember? A column spark line we discussed, right, people? Right.
Yes.
So today we are going to use the line option. Today we are going to use the line option. So when I'm going to use this line option, this is again going to demand me a dialog box asking where is the data. Data is already selected. Then what is the location? Location is the visual column first cell, exactly next to that same customer. Now go and click OK. Now the same I need to apply for rest of the cases of the customers. So you'll be seeing that there is a more or less looking like a line graph is created and there is a sparkline tab also activated. Over here, when you go and navigate, there's an option called markers. And when you activate this markers from the sparkline tab with immediate effect, see the beauty. A very good presentations you can make it. And trust me, when you present this kind of information, people are going to see this and this. Nobody is going to read your numbers because numbers are always boring. And now in looking at the numbers to interpret, it's very difficult. It takes time. So here, what kind of information they are going to make out, like say, Alhamid Automobiles, if you see compared to last year, this year consistency, it is there, no problem. And Arya Motors, there is a significant growth. It's a good sign from the company perspective. But Bavaria Motors, it is going down. What is the reason? Why such a drastic change? We need to inquire with that particular customer. Then if you look at the customers like Dalma Motors, again, it is down. And if you look at Gurudev Motors, Kunos Motors and Lexus Motors, they are showing consistent growth compared to last year. So this is what the people want to make out, and they will believe this is what the immediate information we can do over here. We can get it over here from the data. So people don't prefer to see your number. So this is the kind of add-on you can give it to your data by using Sparkline. So please go for it. Select your first you create a column naming called visual. This is the first step. Right. Now select your last 3 years customers data of first customer, say Alhamid Automobiles. Going to insert line Sparkline. Helpful? Make sense, people? What say? Find it. Now, we have done with our pivot table number 4. Let's go for keeping the cursor in pivot 4 sheet name, move or copy. And then create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot table number 5. Now this visual column work is over. You can select and delete Control minus. And this pivot table work is over. So let us remove the unwanted columns like customer, you can deactivate. Month, you can deactivate. Product description, you can bring it to the rows. So like the first pivot table, whatever we have created, we can create over here right now. So pivot 5 is ready up to this state. All right. So now let us go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Now kindly stay focused with the ask. See, this is my boss happens to see and he is quite happy with the pattern, whatever I have taken, like last 3 years revenue data in 3 different columns and all these product details in the rows. So he likes this pattern the most. And he's telling me, Pravas, you have given me only the revenue data for last 3 years. I just want to know to get this much of revenue, how much incentives we have paid. So my boss wants to analyze revenue versus incentive. He wants to analyze. So he's asking me to generate this much of revenue, how much incentives we have paid. So technically, in the corporate, whom we pay the incentives? To our salesman, salesperson, sales agents, isn't it? So the first thing you need to check, do we have a field called incentive?
No.
So problem starts. We do not have the data. Okay, that you keep it on hold. Now, suppose say in our organization we have a uniform policy. Whatever the billing the salesman makes, he will be entitled for 2% incentive. This is the uniform policy across the globe. It is there in our organization. Suppose. So if that is the case, then how to deal with the same? So one thing for sure, we do not have the data. Second thing, what we know, how to compute our incentive. So if that is the case, what we can do, we can go back to our source data, that is summary table data sheet, and there we can create our data. So what is the last column we have? So we have channel partners. So kindly keep your cursor next to channel partners and type the text as incentive. And there you type the formula equal to the billing column, sales USD, multiply by 2%. And when you hit enter, this is going to give me the first incentive value ready. As we know, the same we need to apply for the rest of the cells. So double click on the fill handle and my entire thing will be ready. So our incentive column, we made it ready in our source data sheet, that is summary table. Now, once this is ready, how to bring the same to pivot table? Because if you look at in pivot table below to channel partners, incentive is missing. So in this case, our experts, they will suggest you go for right click on pivot table and do refresh. So when I do refresh, do I get my incentive over here? No. So why refresh is not working? Refresh will work only if you do the changes within the existing data range. Once your range is expanded in terms of columns, in terms of rows, then this is not going to work. So we have to go for another option. So keeping the cursor anywhere in pivot table, going to pivot table analyze. And in pivot table analyze, we have an option change data source. And when you go for change data source over here, you will be getting a dialog box like this, in taking to the cursor to the source data sheet. And no need to do any changes right now in this box. Kindly take your mouse pointer. In the bottom, there is a horizontal scroll bar. And that you just drag it towards your right. Then only you realize what is the last column in the data it has picked up. The virtual dotted line is there. So this is nothing but up to column K. But we have understood our data is appended up to column L. So understanding the same in this dialog box now, you are going to change wherever K is there. We need to just make a change to L. So this is the only change you have to do. And then you go and click OK. And you'll immediately find a new column incentive will be ready. So we'll go for that K to L and click OK. So you can notice now in your pivot table fields, incentive is on.
Can you just repeat again?
Yeah, you can keep your cursor in pivot, go to pivot table analyze, option change data source. And when you go to change data source and click, it will take your mouse pointer to the source data sheet. So there you have to define the new range. So here auto data column KH is taken, but we have created a column naming called L. So understanding the same, instead of K, I need to go and change it to L. So this is the only change I have to do. And then click OK.
So we got to manually type this, is it?
Yeah, you have to type this. If you want to take, then again, you have to start from the beginning, like starting from A4 to 580 of L column, you have to again take the new range. You can take that new range also if you do not want to type. It's up to you.
And Prabhas, I guess we can also do shift and then the arrow right.
Yeah, that is what the selection. That is what the selection. You have to go for control shift and right arrow key, control shift and down arrow key to select the entire range. All right. So now everybody has got their incentive column ready in the pivot table field. So technically incentive column, what kind of data it is holding? Is it holding the numbers? Is it holding the numerical data?
Yes.
So what is the right area to place with?
Values.
So let's do it. So if you bring your incentive to the value field area, you can see a beautiful transformation of your pivot table is going to happen. And there you have got another consolidated column of your incentive. Along with that, the year-wise incentive also you can see it is being populated. So this is how we have understood whenever we do not have the data, we do have a choice. We can go back to our source data, create a new column and apply the formula, and then same we can bring it to our pivot table by simply doing this change data source option over there. Hope pivots 5 is clear for everyone. Now let us do one thing. Right click on our pivot table sheet name, that is the sheet tab, move or copy, create a copy, checkbox you can activate, click OK. So when you go and click OK, you will be getting another pivot table. You can rename the same as pivot table number 6. Incentive work is over. So let us go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. So first of all, incentive will deactivate. That work is over. Let us bring our pivot table structure to the first pivot table, whatever we had designed. Now, once we made it, let's stay focused. What else we can do with regard to pivot? Now my boss is looking at the data. He's quite happy. The moment I presented incentive to him, then his expectation level goes high. And what he's demanding, he's saying, Prabhas, I'm done with incentive. Now, what I'm interested watching it, or what I would like to know is, while making this much of billing, how much discounts we have given to our customers. I want to know that. So my boss wants to do a simple check, billing amount versus discount amount. He wants to check. So as we know, first thing we have to check, do we have a field called discount?
No.
So again, problem starts. We do not have the data. Fine, that you keep it in hold. Like insurance, we have got one more policy in our organization. Say, take an example that whatever the billing we make, whoever the customer, though he purchase the bulk purchase or a small quantity, he will be entitled for 5% discount. So everyone we give uniformly 5% discount. If that is the case, then how to deal with the same? What we can do to get our discount data in pivot? Yes, people? Can you do like just like incentive?
Adding a new column. Same
Absolutely.
way.
Absolutely. Now don't do that. Just let us analyze the same situation. Going to source data, creating a new column, defining the column header, applying a formula, bringing the same to pivot table with change data source, populating the field. How much time we have invested? Roughly 5 minutes. So one end, our 5 minutes of quality time is being spent. Besides that, what is happening in the source data? When you add a new column, define your own formula for another 50,000 or 1 lakh or 5 lakh row items. My file size is also getting heavy. Of course, that's for sure. So having said all these things, the task what we did of creating a new column is technically ruled out. Excel never recommends for the same, but we do it. So this is what our experts, they will suggest you, but Excel never recommends for that. So what Excel recommends is, I'll tell you. So instead of creating a new column in our source data, if I happen to create a column in pivot, how to create it? Let's go for that. Keeping the cursor with the grand total. Do it along with me. Let's start working together. Keeping the cursor in the grand total. Then go to our pivot table, analyze. We have an option called fields, items, and sets. If you go and click there, there is an option called calculated field. And when you go and click this calculate field, you'll be finding a dialog box appears where this is demanding me the first criteria called name. So whatever the new column is going to turn on, what should be the name? Should be discount?
Discount.
Yeah, give it. Now, next is the formula bar. Whatever it is written in the formula bar, kindly delete that since we are going to design our own formula. And there, what should be the formula for discount calculations? Is nothing but 5% on the billing amount. So billing amount we have in the fields called sales USD. Double click on the same. And when you go for double click with immediate effect, it will be added to our formula box and then go for multiply 5%. That's it. Okay. So what we did first, we have changed the discount column. Second, we have gone for sales USD to populate in the formula. Third, percentage 5% defined. Fourth, going for OK. All right. So you can see now we have got one discount column, a consolidated one. Along with that, year-wise also discount we could populate instantly, immediately. So that's the beauty of this calculated field or virtual field or our pivot table field. You can say anything over here we could populate, and there is no restrictions. You can have a number of calculated fields like this. And the beauty is it is not going to create the data in the source data sheet. Don't expect that. It is just going to create the data in pivot table, not in the source data. So I believe it works.
Prabhas, in my sheet, the calculated field is grayed out.
No, it will never be. Could you please share the screen?
Yeah. Can you see?
Not yet, Pallavi. You are sharing your window or screen or desktop.
Now can you see?
Yeah, it's getting loaded. Yes, I can see right now. So if you go for this, okay, go for fields, items, and sets. All right.
See?
Yes. Uh, okay, I understood the problem. Go to our source data sheet. Go to our source data sheet, the summary table.
Here.
No, not changes. Summary table data
Okay,
sheet.
the main.
Yeah,
Okay.
summary table. Yeah.
Hmm.
Now keeping the cursor, okay, select your data only up to channel partners, starting from the first cell, only up to channel partners. Now go down, control shift down arrow key. This will be taking a lot of time selecting like this.
Oh,
Control shift down arrow key one time. Yes. Now go for insert pivot table. Again pivot table. No, that is what the mistake. You should not choose again from this. Just click the pivot table option in the top, in the same. No. Wait. You have navigated. Pivot table option you have navigated. Go for escape one time. Just escape one time. And now click pivot table. Don't navigate. Just click pivot table. Go up. That is the way. Go and click. So you have shared your window. I am unable to see the dialog box. A dialog box is coming up, right?
yeah.
Right. Can you see there is an option called add to data model in the bottom? Is it on? Is it highlighted? Is it checked?
Yeah. Add this data to the data
Right.
model.
That you should deactivate. And now click OK.
Okay.
Now just go and create the pivot table, like taking product description to the rows, years into the columns, sales USD in the values, and that's it. Now you can go for the operation.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, so I'm taking the control back on the screen over here. So now we have done with our discount calculations. So what you have understood now from this exercise, that what we did for incentive calculations, the same thing could have done like this. So the bottom line is you don't need to create a source data all the time to create a new column. You can use this calculated field and you can have n number of columns. And that's the story of our pivot table number 6. And I believe everybody is clear in pivot 6 what we did. Any doubt, any queries? Okay, very good. Sirisa, are you there?
Yes, Prabhas.
Able to follow?
Yes.
Great. Mumtaz, what's your status?
Yes.
Okay. Fine then. So let us go for one thing. Just go for pivot 6 sheet name, right click and move or copy. Then create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So once you click OK over here, you'll be finding another pivot. You can rename the same as pivot table number 7. So this discount work is over. You can deactivate discount, no problem. Now, here one thing for your information. Though you have removed the discount, don't be panic. Discount will be always be the integral property of pivot table. So whenever you want, you can bring them back. Incentive is your real field. Every time will be there. Discount also will be there, but discount is your virtual field or calculated field. Now, let us go and discuss what else we can do with regard to our pivot table. Now, stay focused. A very beautiful information you are going to learn. Suppose say, this is what the pivot table I have designed for my boss. Boss is quite happy and he's telling Prabhas, this pattern is really good. I like it. What is the pattern? Like 3 years data in 3 different years and 3 different columns, all the product information in the rows. This pattern I like the most, but you have given me only one pivot table. Boss is saying, I have given him only one pivot table. So he is telling that in that context that I just want to see multiple pivot tables in this pattern based on the salesman. So salesman wise pivot tables, my boss wants to see. So he's not happy with one table. He's expecting multiple pivot tables, but based on the salesman. So the first thing first, we need to check, do we have a field related to salesman or salesperson or something? We do, right, people?
Yes.
Yes. So no need to do anything. Let me do the R&D for on behalf of all. Please stay focused on my screen and understand what I'm doing. So in this situation, now when I started doing my R&D to get the exact report, what he's expecting, I bring this to the row area. My report pattern is disturbed. My boss is not happy. Again, I bring it to the column area. Though salesperson field is there, details are missing. Doesn't make any sense. If I bring the salespersons to filter area, beauty is the pattern remains the same. I am somewhat safe. And above to pivot table area, you could see that filter button is also activated, naming called salesperson. So I got my report ready. I believe I got my report ready. And out of that curiosity, I immediately expressed to my boss, what is the answer? That, sir, if you want multiple reports, do one thing. Go to this salesperson, select salesman one, click OK. The entire data is now belong to salesman one. Only thing is you have to insert a new Excel worksheet. You need to copy this entire data and you have to paste it. And this is the only action you have to repeat number of times depending upon the number of salesmen you have. So this is the kind of suggestion I have given it to my boss. What would be his reaction? Do you think that my boss is going to be happy? What say, Amit? Param, what's your opinion? Is he going to be happy?
No.
Not at all. So what would be the reaction? I will tell you. My boss has listened the whole story, whatever I said, and he just looked at my data. He just looked at me also and gave a plastic smile. You know, plastic smile, the smile which is not natural. And bosses are good at doing that, right? In the corporate, you'll be finding many more people like this. And what he's saying me that Prabhas, I'm really impressed with your smartness. The way you have diverted the entire responsibility towards me, I like that. Now let's do one thing. If I am going to do your job, tomorrow when you come to office, please bring your resignation letter with you. I would be happy to sign on that. So this is what the kind of reaction my boss has given to me. So what's the bottom line from the discussion? That we cannot divert the responsibility of ours towards our superiors. That's for sure. So what he's expecting from me right now, let me take you through. No need to do anything. Just look at my screen, understand the pain of work. Suppose I'm working with a global report and there are near about 200 salesmen we do have engaged to generate the revenue. Okay. So now what is the first job my boss is expecting from me? The job number one is I should go and insert worksheets. How many? Depending upon the number of salesmen. So how many salesmen we have? We have got near about 200. So this is the first job I have. Job number two, I need to copy this pivot table over there and paste it for how many times? 200 times because 200 sheets, total 400. Job number three, I need to select filter with the salesman name for how many times? 200 sheets for 200 times. So total 600. It is still not enough for him. Finally, my boss is expecting that I should rename all the worksheets with the salesman name for 200 times. So total, how much task over here? Can you imagine? 800 task. Now, just keep yourself in my place and think about it. How long it will be taking for you? Make a rough estimate, please. Anybody? It's not a joke. It's a huge data, huge task. So why my boss is expecting? Why my boss is expecting such a tedious job for me? Any idea? Because it's not something people that my boss will be demanding, and I, without knowing that role, the task, the importance of the job, I keep doing that. There is no point of doing it, right? So you need to understand what kind of role this report is going to play, so that you can give also some value additions to the work. Think about something like that, or you can give more add-on to the data. So in this context, what you feel, why my boss is asking me to do a tedious job like this? What could be the reason? Anybody? Simple. He wants to analyze salesman wise data, like whatever the targets it has been given to them, what is the actual achievements they have done, whether it is overachieved, underachieved, whatever it is, the status. He wants to seeking a feedback over there from individual salespersons. That's why he's expecting me to create the data in individual sheets so that he can mail them and collect the feedback. Okay, we got it. But how long it will be taking for us? Not less than a day, definitely. It's data is huge. But trust me, even though you'd spare one day, you are unable to do this job. The reason, I'll tell you, whatever the reasons we have not yet anticipated, I'll tell you what are the primary reasons. The primary reasons are, when you work with a Excel file having 200 worksheets, system doesn't support. System shows an error. Whenever you open the file, Excel not responding. Excel is restarted. Excel stopped working. Windows is grayed out. Windows is also hang. All these problems happens when you open this kind of files. That is the major problem. And that is going to kill a lot of time. Now just imagine that entire one day job, if I could make it happen for you just in 10 seconds, trust me, 10 seconds, how much of quality time we can save over there, just imagine. So that's what we are going to do right now. So now the objective is, whenever there is a need to export your pivot table into multiple reports on a click of button, how to do that. The first thing first, bring your salesperson to the filter. Bring your salesperson to the filter area. This is what the first thing you have to do. And once you do this, you can notice above to the pivot table, there is a salesperson filter box is added. So kindly select that cell. Do not click the filter button. Kindly select the cell. And once you select this cell over here, you can go to your pivot table analyze. The very first option deals with your pivot table name. And below to pivot table name, we have a options tab. Don't click the options tab. I repeat, do not click the options tab. Just next to option, there is a small navigation button is there. Click on that. And once you click it, it will open with three different options. Options, show report filter pages, generate get pivot data. Go for the second one, show report filter pages. And the moment when you go for this, with immediate effect, a dialog box appears, and which field is selection? Salesperson. And what is the field based on which my boss is looking for the report? Is the salesman? Definitely. Now go and click OK and see the beauty. On your blink of your eyes, your pivot table will start exporting the data into multiple reports having the filter selected with the salesman name. Report pattern remains the same, whatever we had. And along with that, the sheet tabs also renamed with the salesman name. Can you see the beauty? So that's what the life savior option of our pivot table. Whenever there is a need, you can make use of that. Customer wise data, product wise information, cost center wise information, or any other things you are looking for, you can bring it on. So this is what the beauty of our show report filter pages. I believe everybody is able to get that. Helpful people, time saving. Now, once we have done with this, we have done with our pivot table number 7. So any doubt, any queries in this? If you have, you can ask me. All right. Now let us go and do one thing. Right click on pivot 7 sheet name, move or copy. Then dialog box appears, create a copy, checkbox you can activate, click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same pivot table number 8. Now, let us go and discuss something on this point. What else we can do with regard to pivot table? So our salesman work is over. You can remove the checkbox on that. And then we are going to see if there is a date related information, how to present it effectively in our pivot table. Okay. So if you see, we have got some order date, one date related information if you see. So we are going to use this and let's see how to present our data effectively. All right. So now let me just remove this year from the columns. Okay. Remove year from the columns. Let me remove product description from the rows. And let's take order date to the row area. So when you take this, what happens? Can you see some ready-made grouping of our data? It happens. Year-wise data is grouped and this is showing the details. Now, if I want to expand, so 2014, I have to expand like this, then year-wise, quarter-wise information will be available. So this is what the default pattern, it comes only if you are there in 2016 and higher versions of our Microsoft Excel. But problem is, it is automatically making a bucket of our quarters, but that is not actually technically making any sense. If we Indians are working in our data, we believe our financial year starts from April and ending up with March. And that's how we want the things to be combined. So this kind of ready-made quarter options to bucketing is not going to help me. So I want to do something of my own. If that is the case, then how to present it effectively? So first of all, what you can do is over here, this data, whatever it is created in this, right click on this, the year column, and there is an option called ungroup. There is a option called ungroup. And when you go for ungroup with immediate effect, you can see the original data date-wise records will be displayed on the screen. So the grouping will be deactivated and date-wise information will be there on the screen. Now, if I want to show only years and month based on the year and month, I don't want to go for quarter-wise information to compute. I want to go for only year and month. So right click on any of the date. Right click on any of the date in pivot table. There is an option called again group. There is an option called group. And when you go for the grouping option, you can notice from the date column, the oldest date or the newest date in the category, automatically it is sitting across over here as starting and ending point. And month is already on. This is on color blue. If I want to make years also, I can select years. So once I select years and months and click OK, with immediate effect, you will be finding year-wise, month-wise data will be available over here. So this is how you can make your date-related information presentable in pivot table with grouping or ungrouping options. Hope this is working.
The subtotal thing is not coming.
Well, so total if it is not coming, subtotal month-wise it is or year-wise it is not coming, then you can go to design. There is a subtotal option over here. You can go for show all subtotals at the bottom of the group. You can activate that.
Got it.
Right. Any other queries, people? Anybody?
Yes, Subhas, I guess I missed something here.
Okay.
So once I clicked on order date and right clicked on it.
Uh-huh.
So which option? I guess you selected
Ungroup,
years.
ungroup, ungroup.
Yeah, I did the ungroup. Then I have the dates.
Yes.
Then I just selected one date, right clicked on it, and then I clicked on group.
Right.
And then I need to select year.
Years and month is already selected. Only year you have to select and click OK. Right. So Pallavi, this is what the grouping, one thing you can do. So this is what you are looking for, that grouping, how to do it. Hope you got the answer.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now here, just stay focused, people. Though I have made all the groupings looking at the same, my boss again asking me one question that, Prabhas, can I see the date-wise information also? Because you gave me years, you gave me months. Now in January month, what are the revenue data, whichever the date the invoice have been raised, I want to see that. So one more hierarchy he wants to see on this. So if that is the case, how to get it? See, same thing, just go to our year over here, right click, and go for, again, you see group, you can click that. And when you go for group, can you see a days option is also available? So when I go for days option and click OK, one more hierarchy layer will be coming up. So year wise, month wise, again day wise records, you can see three different hierarchy label in three different columns it is coming up, right? So this is how you can present your date related informations over there in the pivot table. But I'll tell you one thing over here. Sometimes some people, they will object for this kind of presentation because you are occupying three different columns over here. So technically it will take always three different columns only. If they are not happy, you want to give some compact look over here, how to give it. So keeping the cursor anywhere in pivot, go to design, same report layout from the left third option, go for show in compact form. So if you go for show in compact form with immediate effect, you will be finding all these three columns will be appearing as if it is in one column, but three different layers. Like first is the year, second is the month, third is the date. So technically these are three different columns only it is taking, but here the layout will be different. So it will be showing a compact report like this. So hope you got the flavor for both the out layouts, how it is playing a role, what kind of information is giving to you. So pivot 8, any doubt, any queries, people, anybody? All right. Now right click on pivot 8 sheet name. Move or copy. Create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. Once I go for this, one more pivot is turning up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 9. And remove this date field, order date, you can remove. Month, years also you can remove out of this. Bring product descriptions to the rows, years to the column. So first pivot table, whatever we designed, please bring the structure to that. Now, I believe everyone is ready with pivot table number 9.
Yes.
Right. Once we have this, let us discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Okay. Now, if you remember in our day 1, we discussed something. I'll let you know to recall that. Okay. To make our data more informative, we discuss something. Okay. Like this. This is what we discussed. So to make our data more informative, like revenue percentage, growth value, growth percentage, YTD percentage, all these things we have created the other day, day 1. So this is what we used to create in our normal Excel sheet, or people believe that it can be possible only if you are there in normal Excel sheet world. But the same now we are going to do in pivot table, because people never prefer to do the same in pivot, and they believe that it's impossible to create such kind of data in pivot. So this is the place where we are going to make a difference. But how to create all these things in pivot, how to present our information, analyzing the data in these formats, let's go and discuss. So let us go and create the data structure to some extent. So take an example, remove year from the description, this pivot table fields, remove year, remove product description, and then take month to the row area. So month wise, you have got your sales USD. So assume that we do not have 3 years data. For the timing, you take it an example that we have only 1 year data, that to current year data, suppose say, and based on this month-wise revenue, we have prepared and presented it. No problem. So month-wise revenue done. Now, as per the other day, the discussion what we had, revenue with values, maybe my immediate boss would be happy watching the same. So what we need to present? Revenue percentage. Now the same requirement over here, next requirement, how to present my revenue data in terms of percentage in next column. So what we can do, keeping the cursor in pivot, take this sales USD one more time to the value field area. We know we are getting an identical field only, but do that. Take sales USD one more time to the value field area. And once you have this, a new column turns up. Keep your cursor in the column header. Go for right click on the same option, show values as. And if you go over here, you have an option called percentage of grand total. What's that? Percentage of grand total. And when you go for percentage of grand total with immediate effect, can you see the value is going to be transformed into percentage value? And the total, is it showing 100%? Yes, we are in the right track. Now you can rename the field as revenue percentage. So this is how we have given one more value additions to our pivot data, defining a new column, naming called revenue percentage. So please check it out. Everybody is getting the same. Any doubt, any queries? So we got our revenue percentage column ready. Now what else? Like if you see the next column, we have discussed about the growth. Like month and month, the data revenue column we have compared and we have defined a new column called growth. So this is our next requirement. So how to create a growth column? Let's go and discuss. Bring sales USD one more time to the value field area. Again, a new column turns up, no problem. Right click on that column header, show values as. We have an option naming called difference from. We have an option naming called difference from. And when you go for this over here, this is going to give me a dialog box where this is asking me base field. Which is your base field? Base field is nothing but the month because the first field is nothing but my base field. And when this is defining over here, no need to do any changes. Now base item. So base item, how to check that? Like the moment, if you remember, we have calculated our data over there, taking the data from the previous month. So growth for the month of January is nil because before January, we do not have any data. So always we need to compare base item from the previous month. So go for the drop down and choose the option previous. Do not take a standard month like a base month of March or May or April or December, something like that. Always calculate comparing the data from the previous month. And once you go and click OK, with immediate effect, you are going to get another column and you can rename the same as growth. So we got one more value additions to our pivot table data over here, naming called growth. So please check growth is turning up. Now, growth column is ready. So growth column, maybe my immediate boss would be happy watching the same. But when I'm going to present my data to the management, what I need to present growth percentage. So our next requirement, next objective is how to create this growth percentage column in pivot table. So take one more time this sales USD to the value field area. Then new column appears, no problem. Right click on the column header. There is an option exactly show values as and exactly difference from. Below to that, we found a option called percentage difference from. And when you go for this percentage difference from, if you click that, again, the same dialog box appears, which demands me base field, which is that month. Yes, month. Base item, what we did the other time from calculating our growth is the previous. So going for the drop down, choose previous, click OK. You got your data ready in terms of percentage. So this is nothing but growth in percentage. So this is how we got one more data value over here, naming called growth percentage. So everybody's clear? Are you getting the same? Whatever I'm showing on the screen, people? Any confusion, doubt, queries? All right. So what's next? If you remember the other day, we discussed about calculating the YTD, like year to till date, the cumulative value. Okay, how to get that? So bring cells USD one more time over there in the value field area. A new column appears. Right click on the column header and go for show values as. Exactly below to the percentage difference from, there is an option called running total in. Running total in. And when you go for running total in, you will be finding a dialog box which demands me base field. So base field is our month. Yes. Go and click OK. And you'll be finding your running total on. And with the moment you go to your December month YTD value, is it matching with my grand total of the revenue column? Yes. So we are in the right track. And you can name the field YTD. So this is how we have understood how to get our YTD column over there in pivot table. Now, YTD in terms of value, maybe my immediate boss would be happy watching the same. So next requirement, as we discussed, YTD percentage. For the management people, we need to present it. So how to get that? So let's go and discuss on the same. The moment we go for this cells USD one more time to the value field area, we got another column ready. And the same over here, right click on the column header, show values as exactly running total in. Below to that, you'll be finding percentage running total in. If you click, again, the same dialog box appears, which is demanding considering which is your base field. Base field is my month only. Yes, click OK. And you'll be finding your YTD data in terms of percentage. And if you see the December month YTD percentage, is it matching with your revenue percentage column total? Yes, we are in the right track over here. So what we have understood that the calculations or the statistical calculation, whatever we did the other day, if you do it in pivot, people will love to see the most. And trust me, people never does all these things in pivot. Mostly, they prefer to do it in normal Excel sheet only because they believe it cannot be done in pivot table. But when you do it, that's a great achievement for the people. And trust me, somebody is going to see the summary table sheet data. Have you created any such kind of fields in your source data sheet anywhere and you are bringing it? No such kind of fields. It is purely the pivot table fields over here and we'll doing the calculations. All right. So that's the story of our pivot table number 9. Any doubt, any queries, people, in pivot 9? As I told you, whenever you create your data, always select. What is the first thing? In day 1, I told you, always give a feel of a table. Always give a feel of a table by applying the borders. So how to apply the borders? What is the keyboard shortcut? Anybody?
That's Control Alt A.
No. Alt HBA.
Alt HP.
So Alt, then H for home, B for border, A for all border.
Alt HP.
This is the first thing you should do all the time. And what is the latest presentation style we should follow? In any table data, the first column should be aligned left. How about the rest of the columns? What should be the alignment? Should be center, Alt H A C. Fine then. So we have done with our pivot table number 9. Okay. Over here. Now let us go for right click on pivot 9 sheet name. Move or copy. Create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So another pivot table turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 10. And now all these fields unwanted, we can remove it. But so many fields we have created in the value field area. How to remove at once? Because we cannot remove it one by one. That will be time taking. So how to remove it at once? I'll tell you. See, here we no need to do anything in the value area. Go to the columns. Can you see a sigma value is turning up in the columns? That alone, you just drag it to the field list box. Entire thing will be cleaned from the value field area. In columns, whatever the field you had, that you bring it to the value field list box, automatically this value field area will be cleaned. Then remove or deactivate month also. Yes. Then bring product description to the rows, the first pivot table, what we created it. Year, you bring it to the columns. Then sales UST, you can bring it to the value field area. Okay. So kindly save all your workbooks, people. With this, we'll go for a short break of 10 minutes. Okay. So in my system, it is 4 p.m. 4:10 p.m. Again, we are going to resume our session. So you can have a break, come back soon. We'll discuss the rest. Welcome. So I believe everybody's back. Could you please respond in the chat box? Why for yes? All right. So let us go to our next sheet. Let's see what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Okay. So now we are going to discuss a beautiful concept of our pivot table is going for a dashboard. So how to create a beautiful dashboard in Excel with integration of pivot table, that's what we are going to discuss. Basically, you would have heard this terminology quite often in the corporate world, your friends, colleagues, or your stakeholders, whenever you are making a presentation to a customer, vendor, or your top management people, they always demand for a dashboard. Whenever you present your data with many more sheets, many more files, nobody's interested to watch that. So dashboard is nothing but it's a single page window report where you will be finding a drop down list, which will be giving a privilege to the people to select from the drop down. And once your drop down is selected, based on that, a tabular data should immediately appear. And based on that tabular data, you should have a charts and graphs. And when you have all these three elements in place, that report can be classified as a dashboard. So I'm going to take you through some dashboards which will be giving more clarity, and your objective will be more clear on this, what we are up to. So no need to do anything, just look at my screen. So I'm going to show you first a HR dashboard, human resource related, some dashboards I'm going to showcase to you. So kindly look at my screen. So this is one of the sophisticated dashboard over here. You could see the name of the departments are appearing in the left side. Below to that, the multi-cities presence, whatever the city names that is available. Last 9 years data we are taking to analyze, and these are the different employee names who is there in the organization. Those people name is there. That's fine. Based on this, these are the different charts and graphs. You could see over here multiple charts and graphs, some tabular data. All these things are appearing. And how it operates, I'll tell you. Suppose say any point of time, I want to see what is the status of the headcount trend in human resource department in the last 9 years. So this chart is going to change when I go and check human resource over here. Can you see? With immediate effect, the headcount status, the trend, it is showing over here. Now, if I want to know in human resource department, suppose say the city is Los Angeles, what is the headcount? So if I go for human resource and city is Los Angeles, then this chart is automatically going to be changed. Like this, if I want to see what is the salary breakup of human resource department in Los Angeles city for the year 2006. So if I go and choose 2006 over here, automatically this is changing. Based on that, this chart is also changing. So everything is happening only from a click of button from one end, and the output is being displayed in the other end in the same worksheet. And this is called one sophisticated dashboard, and it needs time to create something like this. It needs time, but that is one time investment. And to create this kind of ample data you should have with you, then only you can play around, because 9 years data, it's not a joke, we should have that. Then 90% calculations are pivot table calculations. Whatever we are doing, almost 90% cases pivot table calculations only. Then to create some list of items or drop down and all those things, we should have some ready-made list so that we can keep populating, updating the records. Any employee leaves the organizations, that we should remove. Anybody joins newly over here, that we should update. All these things are necessary. For that reason, we should maintain a separate list of items. And when we combine all these three sheets, this is the output we can achieve. And trust me, people pay a hefty amount to create such kind of database. They get it outsourced and they pay 20, 30K for this. But if you do all these things at your workplace, then definitely that will be an asset to the company, and you are going to save a lot of cost to the company also. So this is one HR dashboard. Okay. Now one more dashboard I'm going to showcase with related to the sales. So no need to do anything. Just look at my screen over here. So this is my sales dashboard. If you see, the moment it opens, you can see entire thing like the charts and graphs, various graphs over here. And below to that, you can see the list of months, names, product descriptions, whatever the product I'm selling, and the sales representatives, name, selling purpose, salesman names over here. Region-wise details, everything appears. Now, any point of time, I want to see what is the status of Eastern region. So if I go and click on this East Coast, immediately, all this information for Eastern zone will be available on a click of button. Now, if I want to know in Eastern zone, what is the performance of salesman Andrew Gomes? So if I go for Andrew Gomes over here, immediately, it will be showing the details. What is his performance for Eastern zone? So on a click of button, everything is happening. So more or less, we are going to create something like this. All right. So hope you got a clarity. What is dashboard? So is it going to help you? Are we ready for that?
Certainly, Prabha.
Definitely. Let's go for that. No problem. So first of all, we have to bring our interface structure. We have to bring it to that level. Then only we can go for it. So do one thing along with me, please. Keeping the cursor above to pivot area and go for inserting a row, Alt IR. Inserting a row, Alt IR. Then repeat the last step with F4. So basically insert 10 to 15 blank row items over there in the pivot area. So Alt IR, insert row, I for insert, R for rows. F4 is to repeat the last action. And we have also learned F4 keys other uses in the formula. F4 once to lock the range or cell. F4 twice to lock only the row, column will be free. F4 thrice, column will be locked, row will be free. Now, once we have this, keep the cursor in the pivot table and go to pivot table analyze. So when you go to pivot table analyze option, there is an option called insert slicer. We have seen in our day two a glimpse of that whenever we have to make some dynamic effect while searching the records or presenting the information in a normal table data, how to apply it. But today we are going to discuss in depth on that. So keeping the cursor in pivot, going to pivot table analyze, go and click insert slicer. And when you click insert slicer, a dialog box appears in front of you. So now what is the action we need to initiate? What are the fields we have or we need to operate along with pivot table we need to select? But here, the moment you are thinking to integrate your slicers with pivot table, you need to follow a rule. And what is that rule says? That whatever the fields already taken in the pivot table, you should not choose again from the slicer box. Like, what are the fields? Year, product description, and sales USD. It's already forming part of my pivot, so I should not choose again. Because if I choose, it will be amounting as a duplication of fields. Doesn't play much role. So this is the reason why you should not select. But there is no hard and fast rule. If you believe you want to take it, again, you can take it, not a problem. So apart from these three fields, what else I want? Let me just take you through. Suppose say I want to go for customer wise analysis. So choose customer. I want to see salesman wise record, so choose salesperson. I want to see region wise records, choose region. I want to see month wise records, choose month. So this is how four fields we have taken. I repeat, you can cross check on your screen, customer, salesperson, region, month. And the moment you click OK, with immediate effect, you will be finding four boxes are turning up in front of my screen. These are nothing but slicers. So we have to do one thing now. Taking one by one slicer, we need to arrange in that space what we have created. But to hold a slicer, you should hold by the slicer name. So holding the slicer name, I can drag it and populate over here. Customer, I can bring it over here. You can have your own order. It is not a hard and fast rule that you should only follow the order of mine. Okay, so you can have your own rhythm, own order of instructions over there. No problem. So we'll go step by step confirmation. So now, please confirm that you have come up to this level, inserting the slicer, arranging the slicer above to the pivot area. Yes, Param and Amit, what is the status? Great. Now, once this is done, what's next? I'll tell you. See, though we have got our slicer arranged in this fashion, people, but the look and feel is not so great. So first of all, now we are going to look into how to beautify our slicers. So slicers, why we need to beautify, I will tell you, whenever you are working with the dashboards, you will be finding always some high definition colorful buttons. So that is the reason why your slicers has to be formatted with some beautiful colorful styles buttons. But how? Let's go and discuss. If I select a one slicer, you will be noticing on your ribbon tab also a slicer tab is activated. Naming options, tools depends upon the version of Excel. In the extreme right, this tab is activated where you have got many more slicer styles. You have got many more slicer styles. And go for the more button if you, it will open up with two different broad categories, light and dark. There is no medium over here, but here what we need to do, we need to go for the dark one, since we need to go for some HD colorful buttons like a look. So choose one slicer, go for one dark color, choose another, go for one more dark color, again choose one more slicer, go for another, and take one more slicer and choose one more style. So this is how we have understood that how to make our slicers look and feel a little bit great over there by changing the slicer styles, making some colorful buttons. Right, people? Now, once we have done with this, stay focused, please. Though we have changed the look and feel of the slicers, but the problem is having this kind of vertical scroll bars, these slicers are not looking great. So we need to remove the same. How to remove? I'll tell you. Select one slicer. If you see in the slicer tab, there is an option called columns. I'm highlighting. You can cross check also on your screen. We have an option called columns. By default, it will always show as one. Now, go and increase the column number. Say I would like to go for number 3. So what is happening? You can notice all my customer name, whatever it was appearing in one column variables, it has been distributed to multiple columns. Now suppose I want to go for 4. Why? Now region, I will take it to 3. It is up to you. There is no hard and fast rule. It depends upon your volume of your data and how many column distribution is going to give an ideal option. Depending upon the spacing, you can go for it. But the problem is you can notice the moment I have removed the vertical scroll bars, my variable items are not properly displayed, unable to read that. So you can extend the slicers from the right side box. Okay, so all the names, everything, whatever I'm dealing with should be visible so that you can utilize the space properly also. So region, little bit, I'll move it. Yeah, the rest of things I can see, not a problem. So removal of our vertical scroll bars, that's clear. And adjusting our slicers width depending upon the data, that's also we did. Any difficulties in doing the same? Any queries, please ask. Hope it is working. Now, kindly stay focused on my screen for a minute. Select one more slicer, okay, and go for Control A. So selecting one slicer, if you go for Control A, that is going to helping you to select all the slicers. So what is the first thing we need to do is, after selecting all the slicers, in the slicer tab, there is an option called alignment. There's an option called alignment. In the slicer tab, we have an option called alignment. And when you go to this align tab over here, you have the option align top. First thing you should do, align top. So from top margin, all these slicers will be aligned with one line. And alignment plays a very big role in our dashboards, people. You have to be pinpoint accurate with regard to alignment to give the finishing look. Second thing over here is same align, go for option called distribute horizontally. Why we need to go for distribute horizontally? Because the spacing between the slicers also has to be uniform. So go for distribute horizontally. All right. Now, once we have this, you can notice there is some empty spaces created exactly below to each and every slicers. So let's go and remove the same. How? You can hold this, the button from the top, our slicers in the bottom section, there is a button called to hold it, and you can drag it a little bit up. So while dragging you up, ensure that you are not regaining the status of your vertical scroll bars. Then there is no point of doing the same. Okay. So I believe if he was able to do that. Now, after doing all these necessary formattings with regard to the slicers, make sure the slicers are still in selection only. Last step, do not ever forget what is that. Next to align, you have an option called grouping. In the same slicer tab, you have an option called grouping. So you can choose this grouping option, and now the slicers will be turned into a single object. So this final step is very, very essential. If you have not done this, or if you forget to do that, then while operating through the slicers will start overlapping with each other. So just to safeguard the time, what we invested, the formatting pattern, what we created, this option is mandatory. So I believe everybody is able to do successfully all the slicers arrangements. Any doubt, any queries?
Prabhas,
Yeah.
even after grouping, we will be able to move each slicer, right? If we want to change the
Yeah,
position.
that you can do. Suppose I want to take this slicer, I am able to
Yeah,
select.
right.
So you can see, so I can operate, no problem.
Then what is the purpose of grouping? That I did not understand.
Yeah, the purpose of grouping is tomorrow while you are operating with the slicers will not overlap with each other.
Acha, acha. Okay, okay.
It will be in the same location where you have placed it. If
Right,
you,
right. Thanks.
yeah, welcome. Now, if you look at our screen, people, you can see also in your screen that between the slicers and pivot table, some unwanted space or row items, it is there on. As I told you, if this is not required, we can delete that later. So we can select those blank space, whatever we have, and go for Control minus. So when you go for Control minus, you can choose the entire row over there and click OK. So you can notice my slicer is ready along with the pivot table. Now this pivot table field dialog box, what I'm highlighting, it is no more required. Okay. this pivot table fields is no more required. You can just shut it down or you can close it. All right. Now, once you have done with this, as I told you, that for dashboard purpose, we need three elements. One is our drop down. Another one is the tabular data. The third one is the graphical presentation in terms of charts and graphs. So keeping the cursor in pivot anywhere, then go to your pivot table analyze. We have an option called pivot chart. So when you go and click pivot chart, you will be finding it will take you to your entire chart family where by default the cluster column is there selected. Let it be. No need to do any changes. Now go and click OK. So when you go and click OK, with immediate effect, a ready-made chart will be on and you can just align the chart next to the data and just take this right side window wall option extended exactly with alignment of your slicer. Okay. So slicer is ready, pivot is ready, chart is ready. Please confirm.
Prabhas, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Let's say I have selected Q-notch motors.
Mhm.
So my chart is coming accordingly. So how do I get this comprehensive chart what you are getting? I mean, how to select all the
Right.
fields of a slicer?
Right. So see, in the slicer, if you remember in the day two also we discussed HR admin, we are operating separately. And if you have to restore your data in the slicer's top right corner, there is a clear filter operation, one option button is there. Right. So that if you click automatically, it will be restored with all your data. So whichever the slicers by mistake or you have operated already, you can go and clear the filter buttons. Now, I believe everybody has got the charts in place, people. So what you need to do is select your chart and there is a...
Sorry, Prabhas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
But yeah, again, I did not get the chart. What was the option?
Yeah, you go to pivot table, keeping your cursor in pivot. If you go to pivot table analyze, we have a direct options called chart, pivot chart.
Okay. All right, got it.
Yeah. Now, once we have this, the pivot chart in place, select your chart. So a little bit formatting with regard to chart is also necessary. So what kind of formatting we should do in this, I'll tell you. In this, you have to go to selecting the chart. There is an option called design button. By default, it is activated, which is related to my charts. And there I should go and navigate. There are many more styles available over here. And in this style, more option is there. If you go for more, take the last one. So why the last one? The reason is if you go for the last one, the impact will be different. It will be creating some kind of shadow impact, or it will be creating some kind of intense effect. And compared to the previous version, the chart will be looking somewhat better. Now, this is the first thing for the formatting part. Now, if you look at your chart area, some unwanted grid lines are there and having the same, it looks so messy. So let us remove the grid lines. How? If you select your chart, towards your right side, there is a plus symbol. Towards your right, there is a plus symbol. You need to click that. And a dialog box appears where the grid lines checkbox is activated. You can deactivate that. And again, click the plus symbol. The chart will be neat and clean. So what we did so far, we have created the slices, we have aligned the slices, we have formatted the slices, we brought the chart, we have done the minimum formatting with regard to chart, taking the style, last style, and removing the grid lines by clicking the plus symbol. Hope it is done. Any doubt, any queries? Okay. Now, once we have done with this, people, let's stay focused on my screen and please follow my audio line. See, whatever we have done so far, anybody can do that. It's not something extraordinary we did. So anybody who is aware of all these features also, he can bring the similar kind of look. It's not a big deal over here. But the question now appears, how to make our presentation different from others. See the beauty. Keeping your cursor anywhere in the blank cell, any of the blank cell you can click over here, and then go to your view tab. You'll be finding there are three options by default. It is activated: naming call, formula bar, grid lines, and headings, right? This is there. So all these three options you can deactivate. So now if you look at your own window, what kind of feeling you are having? As if a blank page is there, entire template is embedded on that. Are you getting such kind of feeling? Now, once we have done with this, very important step. Whenever you are making your own presentation to the people, or you are presenting your own data to the audience people, remember one thing: do not show many more information, or do not make multiple sheets open to the people and present it, because the more the information you want you will be showing, the more the questions are going to be invited. And you do not have your whole day to present your presentations in the meeting. Hardly you'll be getting 10 to 15 minutes. That's a big achievement if you get that also. And in that 15 minutes, you have to do your homework in such a way that you need to manage your entire presentations in that 15 minutes time max. You need to answer all the queries or questions people ask you. You have to also give your own interpretations about the presentations, and you have to manage the show. So in this case, if you go and show many more information, then this is going to be a trouble. So you would have thought now, right now, okay, Prabhas, there is not a issue. We can go and hide it. And that is what we basically do. So when you go and hide, at least you have to make this pivot table number 10 sheet open. At least one sheet you have to keep it open. You cannot hide that. So now if I hide all these sheets, take an example, and I'm presenting something to my people, and while doing this operations, accidentally my right click is on, what will be happening? This unhide wala option is definitely going to be activated, and my audience is smart enough to understand. If something is showing called unhide, then definitely some sheets might be hidden. So if suppose I take an example, my vice president is sitting in front of me in the meeting area and looking at the same, he asked me, Prabhas, could you please go and click this unhide button? So can I say no? Or can I say something written, sir, whatever you are looking for, this is there available in this sheet. Why you are asking the unwanted questions? Can I say something like that to my superior or my vice president? Tell me. It's not possible. So now the question appears. how to manage the show. And one more problem, one more pain I'll tell you. If you hide multiple sheets, unhiding is a tedious task because you can hide multiple sheets at once, but you cannot unhide all the sheets at once. You have to do it one by one. That is what more painful. So having said all these things, to manage the entire window, I would say a better options to you. Let us go and deactivate the entire sheet tabs. So nobody will be ever be knowing how many sheets I am operating, how many sheets I do have, where is my summary sheet, where is the workings. Nobody will be ever be knowing that. But how to do it? See the beauty. Please do it along with me. Go to File. There is an option called Account, and within the same section, we have an option called Options. I'm highlighting. You can cross check. If you go and click options, it will take you to a dialog box called Excel options, where we have a category called advanced. We have a category called advanced. And when I go and click this advanced, then there is a scroll bar in the same window. It is available. I can slightly scroll it down. There will be a section called display. There will be a section called display. And within that display, there is a subsection called display options for this workbook. And within that, there is a sub-tab options called show sheet tabs. The checkbox is on, checkbox is activated. Show sheet tabs. You can deactivate the same. And the moment you click OK with immediate effect, see the beauty. So what we did, let me take you through. So first thing, we have got file, then we have got options, right? So Excel option dialog box will appear. You need to click advanced. You need to scroll down a little bit. Then you have to go for the display group. Within that, display options for this subgroup. Within that, show sheet tabs, deactivate, and finally go for clicking the OK button. So this is what the exercise we did. And the moment you do the same with immediate effect, can you see the beauty? What happens? The entire sheet tab is disappeared. Nobody will be able to be knowing that how many sheets you have, which one is your primary sheet, which is your summary sheet, where is your working. Nobody will ever imagine that something is there. So please confirm you got this treatment there. Now, once we have done with this, no need to do anything. Just look at my screen for a minute. See, this is what I have made my data ready. My boss asked me, Prabhas, presentation is ready. I told yes. Then he invited me to the presentation area. He has greeted to the global leaders. And then he asked me, Prabhas, please start the show. So when I opened this file, he immediately asked me, Prabhas, we are not interested watching last 3 years data. Please showcase the data only for 2016. So what I'll do, the beauty of pivot chart, you will be getting some ready-made filter buttons, naming called year. And there I go and choose 2016. So immediately 2016 data alone will be displayed, and based on this pivot table data also clinches for 2016 only. So anybody who wishes to see the data, they can look at pivot table, and anybody who wants to make out from the charts and graphs, he can see the charts. Now suppose say when I presented this next to my boss, my chief marketing officer is sitting, and he asked me one question, Prabhas, could you please show me what is the performance of salesman 5 during the year 2016? So I'll go to salesperson slicer SM5 with immediate effect. Salesman 5, what is the status over there? I'll be getting in the year 2016. So looking at the data, he kept quiet for a while and immediately he asked one more question. What is that? He is asking me, okay, if this is the history of 2016 for salesman 5, could you please show me his performance during the month of May? So I'll go to my month slicer and choose May with immediate effect. I can get the result. So what we have got, that this particular salesman, salesman 5, sold only one product, that is Hexa, in the year 2016. To whom? Tuli Motors. Which country? Africa. So on a click of button, everything is happening. And this is how the moment you go and integrate your slicers with pivot table, with pivot chart, is nothing but a dashboard. So taking the live data, keep practicing, play around with your data and start presenting your data in this format. And trust me, whoever is there in the audience side, he's going to be happy watching your presentation. Hope it works. Makes sense, people? Just let me know if you have any queries. Yes, Pallavi, that's right. Everything is useful, but yes, this one pivot table, day three, that's what I told you in day two itself. Don't miss the class because this is very, very essential. And this one topic alone, if you learn and extensively use it, it's a fruitful investment in the training program. So any doubt, any queries, if you have people, anybody, you can ask me. All right. Now, once we have made our presentations, then how to bring back our data, how to make our data restore. As I told you, when you have the slicers activated, first of all, you need to go and neutralize your slicers. How? Going to each and every slicer's top right corner, there is a clear filter button is there. You can keep clicking on that and your slicers will be restored. So there is one more filter we have operated called charts. There I go and again clear this. Now, what are the things we have deactivated? We have to restore them. The sheet tabs, same steps, going to file, options, advanced, scroll down to the display section. Within that, display options for this workbook and show sheet tabs. Go and activate. And the moment you click OK, you'll be getting all the sheets restored. Now, what are the other things we need to activate? Keeping the cursor in a blank cell. If you go to the view tab, we have deactivated three things. One, grid line, other one, headings, third one, formula bar. All these checkboxes are deactivated. You can see on the screen, you have to activate them. So this is how we have understood in our pivot table number 10, when you have the data in place, how to present it effectively with a one-page report called dashboard and making a difference at workplace. So save all your workbooks, people. Now go to pivot table number 8. 8, 7. Okay, 7. Okay, go for pivot table number 7. Right click on the sheet tab or the sheet name, move or copy, create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot table number 11 or 11. So here, the salesperson work is over, you can remove it. So please confirm pivot 11 is ready.
I am not getting the pivot table fields.
Okay, could you please share your screen? Let me see.
No.
Right click on pivot table, show field list, the bottom one.
Oh, all right. Okay, I'm just clicking on short detail.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
Fine.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm taking the control back on the screen. Now, let us go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table, people. See, so far, if you analyze the situations since afternoon, the moment we started our training program, as such, what we have been doing, we are just keep on working with individual sheets with one individual pivot table. So each sheet, one pivot table is there, right? Fine. Now, when you have multiple scenarios, when you have multiple situations, when you have different situations, how to work around with multiple pivot tables to showcase the information in one interface. So that's our next objective. So in this sheet, we are going to discuss when you have more than one pivot table, how to present our information. All right. So let's go for that. Keeping your cursor with the existing pivot table, select Control A, Control C to copy. Leaving 2 rows down, please paste it. Leaving 2 rows down, please paste it. So now existing pivot table only we have copied and pasted. It's the same pivot table, but technically these are two different pivot tables. How? Though we have copied or pasted, as I told you, in each and every pivot table have their unique names. So here, if I go to the first pivot table, I go for right click on the same. There is an option called bottom second one, pivot table options. If I go and activate, you will see it will be showing a pivot table name. So for me, it is showing pivot table one. For you, it may be different or pivot table one may be the same. No worries, but there is a name. How to identify? We got to understand. Now, if I go to the second pivot table, which is below, right click on the same pivot table options. Do I get a different name for that? Right, people? So though we have copied and pasted, but technically these are two different pivot tables. It is confirmed. All right.
Propose actually when I when I did the copy paste, it's not reading it as a pivot table. Did I miss anything?
How you are pasting? I mean, are you making a paste special value?
Uh,
Go for direct copy paste, copy and paste, Control C and Control V.
that's what I'm doing.
Okay, could you please share your screen? Let me have a look. What is the challenge?
That's a simple control V, right?
Yeah,
Can you see my screen?
yeah, I'm seeing. Okay, I understood. Wait a minute. First of all, remove the salesperson because salesperson is also the integral property of pivot table. So without that, you cannot select the pivot table. Now you can select and copy, leaving 2-3 rows down, paste it. Okay. There also it would have happened if you would have selected along with salesperson. Since you are leaving the salesperson, it is incomplete pivot table is selected.
Got it.
Yeah. Now, let us go and discuss over here. See, there is no point keeping the identical pivot table or having the similar information over here. So first pivot table, if you look at, this is showing product wise last 3 years revenue. Okay. Go to the second pivot table. Now here we are going to showcase, suppose say customer wise last 3 years revenue. So remove product description, activate customer. And to differentiate, go and change the design style a bit if you wish, you can. So these are two different pivot tables now. So one is product-wise data, one is customer-wise data. Please confirm. Are you ready with this? Now, once we have made it, next, keep your cursor in the first pivot table. Keep your cursor in the first pivot table, okay? And then this pivot table field box, which is unwanted now, it is no more required. You can deactivate, you can close it, you can shut it down from this one window options. And then I'm working with the full screen. If you have any queries, you can just unmute your mic and ask me because I'm unable to see now our chart box. See, my first pivot table. As I told you, go to pivot table analyze and go for pivot chart. So let it be our custom, this clustered column, no problem. Now this chart, I will be making it ready over here in this format. Okay. Now going to the second pivot table, again, I'm going to pivot table analyze, same pivot chart. Now this one I'll be populating over here. So two charts, two pivot tables, everything is ready. All right. Now, so here just to have the little bit of spacing, I'm removing something, don't worry, because it's not visible everything. So chart is ready, pivot table is ready, two pivot tables. Now, what I can do is just have a look on my screen, please. I'll keep my cursor in the first pivot table. All right. I will go to pivot table analyze, insert slicer. We have already operated with the same, nothing new. So when you go for insert slicer, this is going to give me the slicer box. Now suppose say I want to see the region wise records. So I'll go and select only the region. Click OK. And you can see you got your slicer ready. You got your slicer ready. Now, when I go and give the slicers options and I'm doing all my beautifications, anything, whatever we have learned, okay? So if I go and change these colors, anything I want, I can do it. Going to slicer, I can change my colors, all these things I can do. But when I go and operate in this slicer, this is only giving an impact to my first pivot table. Can you see that? Yes, people?
Yes.
So now our objective is how to operate with this slicer so that it will be giving an impact to my second pivot table, and along with that the pivot chart also is going to have an impact and the entire things will be dynamic. So here what we can do, the slicer what we have created, just right click on the slicer name, right click on the slicer name, you will be getting a pop-up menu like this, and there is an option called report connections. Report connections. And when you go for report connections, a dialog box appears and it will show the list of pivot tables and which pivot table is connected by default to that slicer, that is alone is activated or checked. You can notice. Now, which is the other pivot table you want to connect? So for my case, the second one is pivot table number 12. This checkbox is not activated. I only just go and select that checkbox. And now this is on. Now, the moment I go and click OK, see the beauty. When I go and operate on any region, say I want to see what is the status from Australia. So if I go for Australia over here, immediately, this is what the data based on the product wise last 3 years revenue from Australia, and this is what these are the following customers in my Australia, and last 3 years this is the revenue they have generated for me. If I want to see UK, this is what the status of UK. If I want to say USA, this is what the status of USA. Can you see now? When I operate, everything is now controlled with one slicer. So this is how you can showcase multiple information whenever there is a need, and you can play around with multiple pivot tables through a slicer. Hope it is working. So this is about connecting multiple pivot tables or working with multiple pivot tables. We have got an idea, and that's the story of our pivot table number 11. I'll tell you one more beautiful tip for you, or I'll share it across. I just remembered now. Okay, see the beauty. This pivot table number 10, what we created, no doubt it is giving more aesthetic look as it slicers by using all these things, dashboard kind of feeling we are getting. But this kind of tabular data, sometimes it is annoying. So sometimes people don't want to see this. And some set of, suppose say a set of audience or a specific type of audience, they do not want to see this kind of data. My boss told me, boss, no, don't bring these numbers. It's always boring for the people. Just remove that. But restore all these things. If I remove this, the entire thing will be trouble, because this is what the source data, everything is depending upon. Okay. So how to manage the show? So instead of recreating the process or going for any other extraordinary approach, I would suggest you how to manage the show. See, take this chart, cover your data, okay, and extend the chart like this. And now you operate anything, which year, or I mean, which year data that you can operate from the slide, your charts filter. Now, which customer data my boss wants to see? Say Dalma Motors. I'll go and click on Dalma Motors. All the Dalma Motors related records information will come. Dalma Motors from Belgium. So if I go for Dalma Motors from Belgium, these are the records. Only two products we have sold to Dalma Motors Belgium is called Indigo and Safari. And who has sold? Salesman 6. In which month? October. See the beauty. So without disturbing any of the element, we could operate conveniently. So this is how manage the show. Don't create many more files, many more extra options, because it will be more confusing. And at the, I mean, if you have created for the timing and manage the show, no problem. After 1 month, when you want to know the status, you will be confused. What is the last file I have operated? Where is the latest update? So it's better keep one file, but in such a way, entire thing is under your control. All right, people. So with this, I conclude my pivot topic. Any doubt, any queries? So kindly save your files and close it. Now, what's next? So far, if you see, we have created our pivot table from a master data, and we played around with all this information, features, functions of our pivot table, and we did a lot of exercise, isn't it? What if I receive a file with multiple sheets, and if I have to prepare a pivot table out of that, what we do in that case? Yes, people. Now everything was there in a summary table named one sheet in the data analysis file, and we could create pivot easily. What if I have got a file having all the 12 months data in 12 different sheets? If I happen to create a pivot table over there, what we do in that case? We create a blank sheet, then we copy paste our data from all the 12 sheets for 12 different times. We create a master data and we keep creating our pivot table. Do you agree with me?
Yes, that's
Yes,
what happened.
right. That is what it's time taking. That's what it is time consuming job. But today we are going to come over from this problem and how to make a better job over there and how to save our time and how to prepare a pivot table and update with real time. All these things we are going to discuss. So first of all, today I have sent one email. All of you have downloaded those case studies. Please confirm. Naming called over here. There will be a file or folder inside called multi-file analysis, and one more file will be there in Excel file called multi-sheet analysis. So please confirm that you have downloaded the same and stored it. If you have not done it, please do it now. I'm holding for another 2 minutes. I have also attached the same in the group. You can download from that WhatsApp group also, and you can extract the files, same files. Okay, so I got three confirmation. Param, Pallavi, and Amit. How about others? Shrisa, Mumtaz, and Satish. All right then. So let us do one thing. Kindly go to our sample case studies folder. There is a file called multi-sheet analysis. Please open that. And before proceeding further, I request everyone, please ensure there is no other Excel files opened on the screen. There is no other extra applications except Excel and MS Teams you have opened on your screen. Because what we are going to do the exercise now, it is going to consume our temporary memory called RAM. So if you have any other applications on, kindly close it so that we can work conveniently. All right. So now let me take you through the files data, what we have with us. Now, if you see, we have got 3 years data, 2014, 2015, and 2016 data over here. Now the objective is I'm going to combine two things over here. One, how to consolidate multiple Excel sheets being a non-programmer of Excel. Second thing is how to prepare a pivot table from multiple Excel sheets. So both the concept we are combining together and we are going to learn. All right. So first thing first, there are certain rules you need to follow over there. One thing, you should always maintain a template format, like whatever the data headers I do have in my primary sheet, say 2014, the same order, same name should be there, the template in the other sheets as well. So there should not be any mismatch of the column headers. There should not be any order disturbances of the columns. This is the first rule. Now, rule number 2, it says that you need to select your data of the individual sheets, need to convert the same into table. I told you in our day 2 how to convert your data into table. What is the keyboard shortcut? Anybody? Control T. Very good.
Control T.
Very good. So go and hit Control T, T for table, T for tango people. And the moment you go and click hit OK, you got your data converted into table. I remind you, do not select your entire sheet, only the data. Only the data. That you have to be very careful. Because if you select your whole sheet, entire 10,48,576 rows, including 16,384 columns, will be converted, and that will be making your system hang definitely. So exactly the data points alone you have to convert. Okay, now the same thing you repeat for 2015, same thing you repeat for 2016. Now check, all these 3 years data has been converted to table. So stepwise we'll go. Please confirm. Conversion of our data into table, is it done? All right. Now, the beauty of working in Microsoft Office 365 or Office 2019 or Office 2021 is, I'm going to tell you. See, if I go to my data menu, okay, you will be finding over there a separate section altogether, which is being ignored by the people or neglected by the people. I'm going to take you through. In the data menu, there is a separate section over here called Get and Transform Data. So this section we never touch. Trust me, 95% user, they do not touch this area. They feel that, okay, something is there and it is might be having some different use. We do not know. So better not to touch this. But this itself a different world altogether in Excel. And there are a lot of wonders you can do in this. So we are going to discuss something on this point. Get and transform data. So going to data, there's an option called get data. So if I go for get data over here, there is an option, many more options over here. So what is this option about? Get data, I'll tell you. We believe that we can work around or play around in our Excel only if the data is there in Excel. That is not true. If your data is there in MS Access, if your data is in Notepad, if your data is in Power BI samples or BI reports, or if you have the data in Microsoft Azure, Dynamics, or if you have the data from Google Analytics, if you have data something in called PDF also, you can connect to Excel and work around. So there are total 49 different types of data we can connect with this. So that's the beauty. Now, here in this, you have an option called from other sources, where a option is there called blank query. Okay. So now when you go for this option, if you click, this is going to take your entire cursor to the back end of our Excel file, and it is going to open a Microsoft Power Query Editor. Microsoft Power Query Editor. This will take a bit of time, but yes, if you have many more applications, may take much time also. So this is the only reason why I told you, please close rest of applications. So here, if you see, I have got query 1, Microsoft Query Editor, one option is on. So please confirm everybody has got this Microsoft Power Query Editor open on the screen. Param, it is, it is applicable, but I have to once look at your screen. Can you please share your screen, Param? Okay. Yes, it is there. Go for new query. There is an option called new query. Yeah. There you have an option from other sources, blank query. Absolutely right. Go for that. Right. You are on.
Thank
Welcome. So I'm taking the control back on the screen. So friends, please confirm first that all of you have got this blank query open on the screen. Now I'm going to take you through a little bit information on this. Okay. So what is this information about this window? I'll tell you. This is actually the backend activity name called Power Query. It is quite similar options like your Excel screen, only it will be visible. But here certain things are different. Like though you have a formula bar, but whatever the formula you are going to write, this is case sensitive. In this window, formulas are case sensitive. And there is no undo options over here. In Excel, we do have called undo, Control Z or Control Z. But here there is no undo option. You must be surprised then if I have come across something wrong or if I have happened to do something wrong, then how to rectify. We have an option. See, there is a option called applied steps. So whatever the activity we do, it will be recorded as a step. Each and every activity, it will be recorded as a step. So any activity you believe that you have committed some mistakes, you can just delete that. You can simply select delete, or there will be a cross button will come up and you can simply click on that. And here, whatever you do in your front end, like changing the data type, changing the formatting, bringing to number format, bringing to date format, everything you can do it in this backend process also. So all the data transformation, data cleansing actions, you can do it over here, but you cannot prepare the pivot and all those things. For that, you have to again go back to your front end. But where most of our quality time goes in the data cleansing procedures or data handling purpose, this option is very helpful. So now what is the objective over here is we need to type a formula equal to, as I told you, it's case sensitive. So I'll go for typing E caps Excel. So when I go for Excel, you can see immediately on my screen, Excel.current workbook, it is showing over here. So I'll go and click on that, and then I'll go for open parenthesis and close parenthesis. So this will be available only if you are in Office 365 or 2021, the default formula. If you do not have Office 365, you can manually type that, but again, I'm saying it is case sensitive. So I'm doing one thing. I'm copying that formula over here and I'm pasting in the chart box. So those who are working in 2016, 2019, the formula is not visible. You can just type as it is, as I have shared on this chart box, and enter. Confirm, you are getting this kind of window box. Is equal to E caps Excel dot C caps current W caps workbook bracket open bracket close, no space. And the moment you hit enter, yeah, Amit.
Yeah, actually, I have got that window open. So
Okay.
Power Query added, but I'm not getting any field to put in the formula.
Could you please share your screen? Go to the, okay, go for maximize this, right. Go to view, formula bar, show what's formula bar is on, parameters, okay, okay. Strange, just give me a second. In your Excel, just close this, Let me see, in Excel formula bar is on, yes, fine, then go back then again, going to your data, get data, blank, that is from other sources, yeah, blank query.
Blank.
Yeah,
Oh,
you got it.
okay.
Because there you were trying to launch, that's why it was coming in different. So go for typing E, just E, Excel, the first one, click on that, first one, yeah, bracket open, bracket close, enter. All right, you're in the track. Fine then, so just wait for the rest of instructions.
For me, it is not coming.
Okay, could you please share the screen? Let me see. Is it showing some error? Yeah, I got it. I got it. So this is what the problem in 2016. So only thing is, you can go to your, I mean,
Sorry.
we cannot help because you have to take the help of IT in this. 2016, this is the problem. So your IT has to go for update the records or MS Office update, then only you can get it. Else this kind of error will be persisting. So you can close this, window.
From here, is it?
Yeah, yeah. This card. Right. Go to your file menu. Go to account. Okay. The reason I'll tell you over here, they're using Microsoft Office Standard 2016. Okay. So in standard versions, it will not be applicable. So you have to go for either the professional edition or enterprise version or 2019, 2021, or you have to go for Microsoft 365 for that.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, you just have a look how it operates so that if you get a chance, I mean, to upgrade your system, you can use that definitely at your workplace. All right, so I'm taking the control back on the screen, people, over here right now. So please stay focused. What's the next step you have to do? See, now, since we have converted our data into table and Power Query only recognizes the data if it is in table format. That is one thing. Now, here, there is a name tab over here. You can see one filter button is added. Click on that filter button. And when you go for this filter button, it will showcase the filter options as usual, what you're getting over here. There is an option called text filter. There is an option called text filter. And if you navigate, we have an option called begins with. Begins with from name, not from the content, from the name. Text filter begins with. And when you go for begins with, this is going to give me another dialog box where this is asking me begins with what. So keep the cursor exactly adjacent to the begins with box, and there you type. As I told you, everything is case sensitive. So type table, T caps. Type T caps table. Okay. And once you type properly table T caps and click OK, with immediate effect, our filter operation is on, and you can see there is a recorded step towards your right side of applied steps dialog box. So as I told you, each and every step will be recorded in this box. If you do not like any option, or if you believe that you have committed a mistake, you can delete that step. That's the beauty. Now, second thing, why we did all these things, why we filtered only the table. The reason I'll tell you, suppose say in our Excel file, many more sheets are there where the data is there as well as the workings are also there. So I don't want my working file to be consolidated over here. I just want only the table files alone to be consolidated. So that's the reason why we made the instructions clear to our Power Query window that you should bring only the table data over here. You should not bring any other generic Excel file data or any other workings data over here. All right. Now, what we need to do is there is one more column called content. You can see also I'm highlighting. In that content column, right side, there is a small button is there. This is called data expansion button. This button is not a filter button. This is called data expansion button. So if you go and click this, this is going to expand your data, where one mandatory thing you have to do is there is a checkbox called use original column name as prefix is already selected or highlighted. You got to deactivate that. And once you deactivate the same, and if you click OK, with immediate effect, the entire data of those 3 sheets is going to be populated in one screen. And again, one more step is recorded called expanded content. Okay. Now to confirm that all my 3 table data is combined over here, you can see the first column is showing here, and there you go for the filter operation. Can you see all the 3 years data is visible in the filter data? Please confirm. Is it visible? I'm highlighting. Right? So once this is done, what you need to do now, whatever the operation of our consolidation in the backend, it is done. But to work around with the same, again, we need to bring our data to the front end. So there is an option in the home tab called close and load. If you go and navigate, there is an option called close and load. You can go for that. And once you do this, immediately in your Excel file, one more sheet is going to be generated called query one, and it will be showing all the consolidated data of 576 rows loaded. Just confirm, please, people. Is it coming up showing the details as I showed on my screen? So data consolidation happened, no doubt. Now, keeping the cursor in the query sheet, keeping the cursor in the query sheet anywhere, go for insert. First option, pivot table, and a blank sheet will generate when you click OK. And take your year to the rows, cells USD to the values. Year to the rows, cells USD to the values. Pivot is ready. And as I told you, once your pivot is ready, what is the first thing you should do? Can somebody recollect that? The moment we first pivot table we discussed, once your pivot is ready, what is the first thing we should do? The formatting. Going to design, take one colorful format out of this. Then what's the second step? Exact field headers should appear in the pivot table, not row labels, column labels, and all. If it is a year, it should be year. And how to get that? Anybody?
Report layout tabular form.
Very good. Show in tabular form. So going to design, report layout, and go for show in tabular form. So this is what the action done. So can you see now all these 3 years data is now consolidated, and from consolidated data we prepared a pivot table. So this is how we have understood one concept, how to consolidate multiple worksheet one, and how to prepare a pivot table by consolidating multiple sheets. Hope up to this everybody is clear. Any doubt, any queries? All right. So now, once we have done with this, the next question you should have asked me, but since you would not ask me, I'm just going to take you through. So this is up to 2015, 14, 15, 16, everything combined together. I got my pivot table also ready over here, no doubt about it, correct? Now, what if tomorrow I complete my business for, say, 2017? How to get this data over here? I'll tell you. So let us start working together. Click on this plus symbol or insert a new sheet and name it as 2017. 2017. Okay. And now for the timing, let's do one thing. Go to 2016 and select your entire table data. Select the entire table data, okay, including the header. Do not forget that. Copy that. Come back to 2017 and keeping the cursor in A1, paste it. So basically 2016, whatever the data we have pasted in 2017 also. So once your pasting work is over, select your column A and column B. Select your column A and column B. This is showing the data belongs to 2016. All right, let's go for Control H. Find what 2016 replaced with 2017. So for the time being, assume that for a better control on the records, let us remove 2016 over here and replace with 2017. So we can understand, okay, this is of 2017 data. Now replace all. So 384 replacements we have done. Click OK. Now this is 2017 records ready. All right. So please confirm everyone on your screen 2017 records ready. Yep. So Amit has confirmed. How about the others? Okay, great. Now, once you have done with these people, see the beauty. Just 1 minute, watch my screen. No need to do anything right now. Observe what I'm doing. And then next 1 minute, you can try also. See, I have got my 2017 ready. I no need to go for recreating the entire process of Power Query, going there and going filter, this, that, and operation. Here in the front end itself, I will go to my query sheet. I will just go for right click on any of the query sheet cells. There is an option called refresh. So when I go for refresh button to click with immediate effect, you can notice this is going to be updated the records with 2017. And if I want to confirm, there is a year column filter is there, of course. If I go for this, can you see 2017 records also added, right? Now, once I found 2017 records, my pivot table also to be updated with 2017. Simple, right click on pivot table, go for refresh. See the beauty. So this is how people going forward, whenever you add any of the year's records, only thing is you have to add, convert into table, query to be updated with right click refresh, pivot table to be updated, right click refresh. Things have become so easy, right? Just do this, give it a try and check. Are you getting this kind of flavor? Well, is it working, people? Everybody is able to get that records updated for the pivot table and the query sheet. Okay. So this is how we have understood how to consolidate multiple worksheet data and how to get our pivot table updated with a simple click of the button. Helpful? So save all your workbooks and close it. So this is the reason why I told you, if you're working with Microsoft Office 365, you can always make your things better. Because Office 365 alone, there are a lot of upgradations happened by Microsoft, and standalone license, if you go for it, or one-time license purchase, if you go for it, options are limited.
Right, Prabhash, actually, just a kind of additional question I would like to ask. So that ways we can pull up the data from sheets if all the sheets are available within one Excel spreadsheet.
Right.
So if we have different Excels, like different spreadsheets, then
Yeah, we are going to discuss that. We are going to discuss that.
right.
Don't worry. Right. I know, I understand that. That's why I have kept all these things ready. If you remember, I showed you one more file also, multi-files analysis, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right, people. So we have discussed how to consolidate the data from multiple Excel sheets in a workbook. So now we are going to discuss how to consolidate multiple Excel files and prepare a pivot out of this. So today, whatever the files I have showed you, there is a folder called multi-files analysis. If you open that, there are two subfolders naming called sales and sales new files. So go for the sales folder and you'll be finding there are 3 years data purpose, three different files are there, 2016, 2017, 2018. Now again, I request you, please close all your Excel files and applications. If you want to do this exercise along with me for data consolidation, kindly select all these files and open. And check over here. The rules, as I said, for consolidation for multiple Excel sheets, the data should be in template format. Column headers, name should be same, order should remain the same. And what is the second rule?
Table?
No blanks.
No. Data should be converted to table. So select your data, Control A, convert into table, Control T. Similarly, repeat for all other years also. Over there, select your data, Control T. Then again, select your data, Control T. Okay. So 3 years data we had, 3 years data, we have satisfied all the rules, converted the data into table. Please confirm this is done. All right. Now, one thing always keep in your mind, whenever you want to consolidate multiple Excel files, make sure that except those files, no other extra files should be there in that folder. Else, that folder also contains some other Excel files. Maybe it will be consolidated if it is formatted already in table. So make sure that there is no other extra files except those files to be combined with. Having said this, go to our Excel. Okay. That 3 years files must be closed. Don't keep it open. Those 3 years files after converting into table must be closed. Now open a new Excel file. As I said you, where to go? In the data option, get data. There is an option called from file and there is an option called from folder. Check. Are you getting the same? Going to data, get data, from file, from folder. And when you go for from folder over here, you will be finding again your Microsoft Power Query is going to ask you where is your files you want to open. So define the location. It's in my desktop, advanced Excel, multi-files analysis, cells. Do not open again cells. I know we are confirmed. Cells is the folder where all these three files are there. Okay. So reach to that folder only. No need to again open that folder. Just go for open. select and open. And when you go for open, this is going to open your Microsoft Power Query editor. And you'll be getting a dialog box like this, where the entire file details, location details, extension name of the file, including the date and timestamp, all these things will be available. Please confirm. Are you getting the same?
Can you just repeat this once again?
Yeah. You can go to get data from file, from folder, need to locate the files where it is. It's in advanced Excel, multi-files analysis, sales is the folder. I should not go and navigate over here more. I have to stop here and I have to go and click open.
2016.
Yeah.
If I share my screen, can you just guide me?
No, 2016 again, there will be a problem. It may come across. I'm a bit doubtful because your standard version is there. That's what I'm telling to you. This
Should
might.
I share?
Yeah, please let us try what is there. Yeah, from other sources, you go for other sources. From folder, no, it's not there. Go to new query, come out of that, new query, from file, from folder, bottom, yeah. Yes, go to browse and desktop where you have located those files. Yeah, just sales, so just that alone you select, yeah, and okay, yeah. All right, fine then. So we'll be continuing from Param screen only. People, is that okay if I guide you on this screen only?
Sure.
Right. So if you notice, there are 4 buttons coming up in the right side bottom area, naming called combine, load, edit, cancel and all, right? So now our objective is to combine. So go for this combine option. In the bottom, combine is there, go for combine. And when you go for it, again, it comes up with 3 different options: combine and edit, combine and load to. We are not going to edit. Neither we are going to load to a specific location. So what is the option left? Combine and load. Go for it. Combine and load. So when you go for combine and load, you'll be getting a window box like this, where in the left side, it will be showing sample file parameters. One below to that, a table 1 option is there. Table 1. Okay. So go for table 1 to select from the left side, table 1 to select. Okay. Is it showing the details properly with the columns like sales type data? Everything is showing it over here. So if it is showing, it means that we are in the right track. There is no error in the data and the data is ready for consolidation. This is the confirmation. And when you go for this and getting the image on the right side window like this, go and click OK. And there a query will run. It will combine the data. It will load in a query over here in a sheet. So you can see the data is started loading 60, 90, all these things, data is loaded. All right. So this is called consolidation of multiple Excel files. So everybody is getting the same, I believe.
Yes, Prabhas.
Okay. Right. So I'm taking the control back on the screen. Now kindly stay focused on my screen. So let me do it quickly again. Get data from file, from folder, and then I'll be going for my sales data, open, and then it will be taking me through this. I'll go for combine and load. So it will run the query and it will consolidate my data, all these 3 files over here, and I have to select this and I need to click OK. Now, once I do this, once I get my data, everything over here consolidated in this particular worksheet, I need to prepare a pivot, obviously. So let's go for preparing a pivot, keeping the cursor anywhere in the data. Go for your insert, first option, pivot table, and then click OK. So here when I go for it, let's go for the source name, keeping in the rows, source name, keeping in the rows, and this gross sales amount in the value. So as usual, as we discussed, pivot table, once it is ready, need to go for minimum formatting, design, take some colorful options, then going to report layout and show in tabular form. So this is my pivot table over here. And this is our consolidated data sheet. This is the default sheet. When we open the file, it was there. So that is nothing to do with this file over here. Fine. Now the question is, suppose I complete my business for the year, say 2019. How to get this 2019 data, update my records and update my pivot table? So what you can do, go to our sample case studies. If you see in that multi-files analysis, one more folder is there called sales new files. If you open that, is it showing 2019? Please check. Is it showing 2019?
Yep.
Right. Now, as I told you rules, open the file and confirm. Converted your data to table. That is essential. Now save your file and close it. Okay. Now, do I need to go and create the entire process again? No. That file alone, you copy this. Okay. Go to that multi-files analysis folder, subfolder, sales, where all these 3 years data is there. In that location, paste it. So 2019, you can do cut paste, you can do copy paste. It's up to you, not a matter. So you have to bring this and see the beauty. The moment you look at your Excel file where you have consolidated multiple Excel files, just right click on the same and refresh. So immediately the query will run in the background and automatically it will consolidate your 2019's records also, and it will be showing 81,646 records added. Can you see that? And if you want to cross check even, go to that filter, you will be finding your 2019 records are also updated. Can you see that? So this is the beauty of Power Query. And once it is added, go to your pivot table. You know how to update it. Simple right click and refresh. Your 2019 records also immediately comes in place. So this is how. Only thing is you have to take that folder and whatever the current year data, copy and paste it. Update the records, right click on the query, right click on the pivot table. Things have become so easy, isn't it? And that too being a non-programmer of Excel. So all these things, people will ask you, you have to do with only macro. So certain things, Microsoft is advanced now in the front end itself to make your life easy. So it's not necessary that everything you have to do with macro. So something you can do it with, but provided these rules to be satisfied. And of course, in organizations, they have to have the template format to receive the data. And in fact, when you download the data from SAP system also, it always comes with the same columns. It's not an issue. All right, people, hope this is helpful. What we discussed, any doubt, any queries for the day?
Yes, thank you, Prabhas. It is just a kind of attached question to it. So, actually, recently something happened in my organization. So basically, we used to have a kind of macro-based Excel file. So, like, I guess I am able to connect something with that procedure which we have just gone through. So, is there any way that we can only get the names of the file within the folder? Only the names of the file, not the content.
Okay. So in folder, suppose 20 files are there, you want the names.
Correct.
Huh,
Whether it is a recording or an Excel or a Word,
anything.
doesn't
So
matter.
that's a simple step. You can do it. See, I'll tell you. Take an example. I have got over here, going to take a real-time situations to you. Okay, so data dump, database. So these are the files I have in HR data. Okay, this is some. Okay. Mm, the best example, I can take it from the contacts. Contacts. Okay, so I have got different types of files. Can you see that? Notepad file, Excel
Yes.
file, PDF file. Okay, simple. Go for this, copy this. Okay, go for Excel, and there go for pasting it. So once you copy this, Control C, and when you bring it over here, right click, paste it. We are not getting the options of pasting it over here. This is the trouble. So what we can do simply over here, I can just go for right click. Hold on a second. Simple technique. I have got to explore something somehow. It's taking the entire data. It's gone haywire. Okay. Fine, then we'll do one thing. We'll first go and save this. FA, save as something is coming up. Options. So, okay, see the beauty. The moment I have got this files ready, okay, I have gone to my address bar. You can see the file path, see users, Prabhas, this, that, and all. You need to copy, go to your Microsoft browser, Edge, or Google Chrome, anything, and paste it. And when you paste it, automatically it will show all these details. Okay. Now, once you have all these details, you can select, copy that, and go to one Excel. And paste it. Now, getting again. Okay. See, wait for Edge, paste over here. This is the data. This is the files. All right. So what we did, I'm telling the entire process. See, going to the folder where the files are there, go to the address bar, copy that, go to your Internet Explorer, Edge, Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, anything, you paste it. Then it will show all these details, and then select the same over here completely from the name and all those things, suppose say, or I can select like this something, no problem. Control C, go to a notepad first. So notepad, why? To neutralize any kind of hyperlink or anything is there, it will be neutralized. It will be just showed as a text. And from Notepad, copy, go to a Excel, and there you go and paste it. So exactly the file name along with the extensions, it will be there. Now, if you have to do a little bit of data cleansing, like if you do not want this .txt, .pdf, .xls, if you do not want, you have to remove the same. So after the last dot, whatever it is there, you can do like text to column, you can do it and remove it. Suppose I don't want all these things, I delete it. Now I do not want dot after that, whatever it is. So I can do one thing. There are two ways again. I'll copy and paste it. Again, I'll tell you both the formats. Okay. So here I can go for selecting the same Alt AE text to column, and then I'll go for my delimited. Next, we'll go for others. Yeah, for dot. And automatically, can you see everything is getting segregated now? I'll go for next, finish. Now this things is unwanted, I can delete it. Now my data is ready. This is one type method. The other one, I will tell you simply over here, you can select and go for Control H. You can give a command, find what is dot. Okay. And after that dot, whatever it is there, I do not want. So I can go for simple asterisk and replace with nothing, replace all. So can you see? Same thing.
Right, we used to have an Excel-based macro file, and we used to just put in the location of the folder, and whatever is there in the folder, we used to get the names. But recently, what happened, like everything got changed, the form, the version, and everything, and the previous file is not working because the version is failed.
Yeah,
It's picking up the data.
right.
I guess, yeah. So I don't know. Is there any way that we can do it through Excel? Like I don't know if it's a query we are required to run, or we are in a very initial phase to do it.
No, that is no standalone options for that. Again, in Excel, if you want to do it, there is no such kind of direct options. You have to go for creating a macro only. So that is what I mean. Whatever we did it, I manually shared all these things that can be recorded as a macro, and we can develop a macro for that. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, people. So any other doubts, queries for the day? Because we are done with our day 3, and I'm going to share the recording definitely as by maximum by 9 p.m. today. And tomorrow we will be having our agenda about our formulas, functions, whatever we left with, like our reverse VLOOKUP, advanced VLOOKUP, how to use the conditional statements like if, nested if, and the dashboard purpose, how to use the aggregate functions and charts and graphs. So that will be our tomorrow's. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, really very sorry. Tomorrow there is no 29th. Yeah, 29th. I'm sorry. So please make use of the time, and if you have any queries, again, I'm keeping that option still open. You can drop your queries in the group. Voluntarily, you can take the initiative to answer and practice well. Be ready for the day 4 also. Because if you do not practice, you will forget all these things. Trust me. So don't do that same mistake. Okay. Fine then. So if you do not have any other queries, shall we call it as a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, people. Stay safe. Take care. See you on the next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome.